Chapter 2691, Bad. Chapter 2691, Bad. Be careful. Just as these two words were spoken, Long Fei's mind tightened. Be careful of what? Could it be that this power can kill me? This was impossible. Because they were all in the same body, whoever killed them would die. At this moment, the human emperor suddenly shouted, "Be careful." Long Fei shook violently, his expression recovered and his bloodshot eyes contracted involuntarily. The spatial tear formed by his earlier attack, the million-kilometer space tear formed into a shockwave. A powerful shockwave immediately swept through. Power of law. Flooding with the power of primordial chaos. All sorts of energy surged forth wildly. Long Fei said anxiously, "Aren't you awesome? And then hack them into pieces. You think I can't do it? Do you think I would be afraid of such a trifling spatial turbulence?" Boom. Rumble. The void exploded, and the spatial rifts that had been swirling about transformed into a gigantic vortex. At the very bottom of the vortex was a gigantic black hole. The human emperor's eyes tightened. Space-time black hole. Let's go. Run, run. The human emperor grabbed Tang Renjie. Long Fei's gaze tightened, and her bloody eyes trembled. And then, his eyes turned sinister, and he shouted coldly, "What can the space-time black hole do? Even if the ancient world only has empty holes, I am not afraid, so why would I be afraid of you?" Shua. Long Fei's body suddenly moved, and flew straight towards the space-time black hole. Long Fei's mind tensed up. Whether it's possible, if it's not, then forget it. Humph. I'm not afraid at all. With that said, the power in the blood pupil turned sinister. Both of its palms formed claws and clawed at the air. Streams of thick ancient inheritance's power continuously burst out. He pressed down with both palms. It turned into a blood-red light. He charged straight at the space-time black hole. His aura exploded crazily, crushing everything within the surrounding millions of kilometers. The surrounding planes were trembling as if they were going to be sucked in. Destroy. A surge of power shot out. The red light exploded. The space-time black hole released a tear, and within the crack, a red light surged, as if it was bleeding. Hualala. Hualala. He had been like an enraged wild beast, but now he had suddenly turned into a dead dog. Ha ha ha. I've said it before, a mere space-time black hole dares to be so arrogant in front of me. It was extremely savage. However, only Long Fei knew what his current situation was. Underworld fire. Decaying power. Open for me. Boom. This time was different from last time. Long Fei used all his strength and pushed the two ancient inheritances he was controlling to its peak. In a split second, he pounced forward. He directly suppressed the weak and mysterious power. He pressed down hard on the ground. And then, a fierce fight broke out. "You're awesome. You are arrogant. Are you looking down on me? Now, if you continue to look down on me, then the power within my body will obediently listen to me. Understood?" Suddenly, the mysterious force did not have the time to react. He never thought that Long Fei would suddenly make a move at this time. Despicable. Shameless. He was currently very weak. He had only recovered one of his 7 strengths, and it had only recovered for a short period of time. Earlier, he said that the power of the space-time black hole killing him was more or less used up. However, Long Fei took the chance and entered. He was able to crush him in an instant. Long Fei grinned. "I am despicable, I am shameless, what about it? I will ask you now, are you willing to accept my challenge? If you can't accept it, I'll beat you till you can." That force said, "If you have the guts, then help me recover. Watch how I crush you to death." Bam! Bam! 2 fists fiercely punched down. Pinch. Kneel this father to death. If you can't pinch me to death, I will kill you. Bang! 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 This was also Long Fei's only chance. He could not allow a power within his body that he was unable to control. This power was too dangerous for him. Moreover, this power was too strong, he had to get it. "Brat, you have guts. Plant your head. Stop wasting your breath on lousy. Are you willing to accept my challenge? Still not convinced? Until you submit." Bang, bang, bang. Another beating. If the force had been a human being, he was bruised and bruised now. So you won't show up when you're supposed to, and will be crushed by the Emperor Xian to the point that you don't even dare to fart. To make him leave so many imprints on my body, do you not even dare to fart? Isn't it great to see Laozi being abused? Long Fei roared. They were also madly fighting. But, no matter how much Long Fei beat him up or how much of a threat he posed, that surge of power refused to compromise. It was just like Long Fei himself, uncompromising. The more threatening he was, the harder he would be. He just couldn't accept it. Even if someone stepped on him, it would still be the same. This was exactly the same as Long Fei. Rumble. 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 At this moment, the space-time black hole swept over once again. Tang Renjie shouted, "Boss!" Long Fei's gaze tensed up. The power laughed out loud and said, "Ha ha ha. What are you going to do now? There's no other way, ha ha ha. It's about to be devoured by the space-time black hole." He laughed complacently. Long Fei was not happy, and said, "If I am engulfed, then you will feel great, right? Sure. I'll make you feel good." The moment his voice fell, the aura around Long Fei's body retracted, and his entire person charged towards the center of the space-time black hole. "I'll let you have your fill. Don't live." Long Fei seemed to have gone crazy. The power was stunned. "What do you want to do? Are you crazy? You want to die?" "I don't want to die." Long Fei said, "It's easy if you don't want to die. From today onwards, you just have to listen to this daddies." Without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, the force said once again, "Are you dreaming? Right. Then both of you will die." Long Fei was even faster. He didn't believe that he couldn't control him. He didn't know what Long Fei was doing, but he knew that once he enters the space-time black hole, he will never be able to come back. No one could walk out of space-time black hole. Because, on the other side of the space-time black hole was another great world. It was a great world that was not controlled by the ancient world and it could never return. "Long Fei, boss!" The two of them shouted anxiously. However, Long Fei completely ignored him. He needed strength. He needed this power. Thus, he would take the risk. The space-time black hole opened its huge mouth and swallowed everything in its path. "Are you crazy? Are you crazy? All right. I promise you that you will control it for one day." Long Fei said, "Let's die together." That power said, "You are unable to control my strength." "You." Long Fei said, "Don't waste time, just die together." That force was truly afraid. No one knew just how many years he had been silent, nor did anyone know what he had experienced. It was not easy for him to see the light of day once again, and he did not want to remain silent like this. "All right. Half for each person." Long Fei smirked and said excitedly, "Deal." His body froze. It was already floating in front of space-time black hole. Right at the instant Long Fei stopped, a huge suction force from the black hole engulfed him. Long Fei's body sank as he exclaimed in his heart, "Damn it. As long as he was engulfed by the black hole, everything would be gone." In a moment of desperation, Long Fei flew out horizontally, directly rushing into the space crack. His heart sank. "Let's take a gamble. Thank you for your support." Chapter 2692, Killing Order. Chapter 2692, Killing Order. Let's take a gamble. At this time, Long Fei had no choice. He could either be swallowed by space into a black hole, or he could die, or he could go to another world that he couldn't return to. In this situation, he only had one choice. He forcefully entered the spatial crack. If he succeeded, he would appear in a plane under the universal realm. If he failed, he would be crushed by space. Die. To him, if he couldn't go back to the universal realm, if he couldn't kill the entire God's tribe, then living would be meaningless. Bet. The strength of his entire body was like a sharp blade, piercing through the edges of the black hole and rushing into the spatial crack. At the same time, Tang Renjie shouted loudly, "Boss!" The human emperor frowned. "There's no saving him. Let's go." After grabbing onto Tang Renjie, he scanned his surroundings. Locking onto a certain direction, he leaped up and entered. Buzz! The two of them were engulfed by the spatial rifts. The spatial rifts slowly began to stabilize as well. Universal realm, God's tribe palace. Emperor Xian slightly withdrew his consciousness. After Long Fei fell into the spatial crack, he could not feel his aura at all. Moreover, Long Fei did not enter his eyes at all. Long Fei is not qualified. The reason Emperor Xian attacked was to let Universal Boundary know that he, Emperor Xian, was the ruler of Universal Realm. He withdrew his soul consciousness and stared at the elders in the hall with a cold look in his eyes. To think that a martial artist from the lower realms would be in such a miserable state. All these years, you have been living too comfortably. The faces of the elders tightened. He instantly kneeled on the ground and didn't even dare to raise his head. The Emperor Xian said coldly, although that brat entered the spatial rift, he might not die. You guys should go out and train hard. Go find him and kill him. If you can't kill him, you won't have to return to the shrine. His figure sank. With a wave of his hand, the elders outside the shrine were dragged out of the shrine. Emperor Xian said in a faint voice, Universal Boundary, those who kill can obtain one stream of ancient inheritance's power and become my presbyter of God's tribe, known as the Overlord. With a light wave of his voice, it spread throughout the entire Universal Boundary. Let's not talk about the lower planes. Just the Universal Realm were all stunned. Holy shit, ancient inheritance. Really? Am I hearing things? The Emperor Xian actually got such a generous reward. This is the power of the ancient inheritance. A single strand of power is enough to dominate the Universal Realm. It's mine. That brat's life is mine. Ha ha ha. I must be the first to find him. Fuck, if you say it's yours, it's yours. Can you find it? Do you know what he looks like? Do you know who he is? Isn't that simple? As long as he uses his power, the God's tribe's mark will appear on his body. Who doesn't know about this? But Universal Boundary, where are you going to find him? Furthermore, so many powerhouse in God's tribe were punished because of that brat, and now that they are frantically searching for him, is it even your turn? The Universal Boundary was a vast and boundless region. Looking for someone. It was 10,000 times harder than searching for a needle in a haystack. The area was too big. However, no matter how difficult it was, many people flew out from the Universal Realm to look for it. It was because the rewards of the ancient inheritance's power were too bountiful, rewards that could not be refused. Besides the powerhouses searching for him, the families of the powerful sects in the Universal Boundary S that were centered around the Sky sect of Ling Clan were also searching for him in all different planes. It was very likely that Long Fei had appeared in any of the planes. Emperor Xian's words were also a hunting order. The pursuit of 10,000 worlds. He would either hide in the mountains for the rest of his life and never come out, or come out to die. The pursuit of 10,000 worlds was simply too savage. Wana, you can't go. The people of God's tribe are hunting you everywhere. You cannot leave. Inside the wild universe. A small plain. On the mountain peak, a middle-aged woman with tears in her eyes said, "It's Feiya, it's my little Fei." Middle-aged woman, Mu Wana. He was also being pursued by the God's tribe. In the void, a figure stood in the air, staring at the middle-aged woman on the mountain peak. His brows tightened as he said, "Don't worry, I will definitely send people to find him." Mu Wana looked at the silhouette standing in the air and said, "Master, you have to find him. It's been so many years, and I've been worried about him every single second. Back then, I should not have left the God's martial continent, and should not have returned to the Universal Realm. I should have stayed by his side, and not caused him to suffer so much." As Mu Wana said this, the corners of his eyes once again filled with tears. The black shadow said faintly, "This is his life." Mu Wana looked up into the sky and said, he can. She did not continue. Because, thinking about the scene of Long Fei's birth, he actually, at that time, she could not have chosen, but she still chose to let Long Fei onto this path. She regretted it now. She could have been like an ordinary family, a family of 3 enjoying a blissful life together. But now, how many years had it been since he had seen his son? Her heart ached. The shadow said, "Wana, don't worry. He will be alive." Mu Wana said, God's tribe is too strong, Emperor Xian is too strong, Xiao Fei is in too much pain. I want to go out, Master, can you let me go out? The Black Shadow said, that won't do, Long Zhanting has already been captured, I can't let you be captured again. I promised. He did not continue. I promise you. I will definitely find him and protect him well. Mu Wanna took a step forward and said, Master, if you find Xiao Fei, can you bring him to another great world? I don't want him to suffer again. I don't want him to be in danger again. Master, is that possible? Mu Wanna pleaded. Universal Realm was too dangerous, Long Fei alone was not a match for him. The Black Shadow froze for a moment, then mumbled, another great world. It was hard to describe the pain. And then, the shadow nodded, all right, I promise you. However, he was saying in his heart, the other great senior sister. The entire universe was on the verge of collapse. What other major world was safe? Dragon Abyss Dungeon. All the veins in Long Zhanting's body bulged, as he struggled to rush towards the sky above the abyss. The harder he pushed, the tighter the dragon-locked chain shrank. His body felt as though it was splitting apart. He acted as if he could not feel the pain, and said solemnly, Emperor Xian, if you touch my child, I will definitely kill you. Xiaofei. Do not enter the universal realm, definitely do not enter the universal realm. Do not come in. Long Zhanting sensed an aura from Long Fei's body. Sensing that the Emperor Xian had made his move. He was now extremely worried, and was begging Long Fei not to enter the universal realm. It's too dangerous here. Chapter 2693, The First Path, Strength, Black and White. Chapter 2693, The First Path, Strength, Black and White. And then there was Long Fei. After entering the spatial rift, he did not give up on controlling the mysterious power that he had obtained. Moreover, he understood. This power could very well be the most ancient inheritance power. It was the superpower beneath the dragon-shaped mark. This power was related to his superpower, the Seven Meridians painting. Yi Yorong's mission was completed. A seal was released, releasing this power. However, he couldn't grasp it yet. Other than Yi Yorong, there were 6 other superpowers. If he could release all of these powers, then he could release all of the power that the dragon-shaped mark had. What will it be like then? His current power alone was enough to easily crush Presbyter of God's tribe. If it were 7 strengths, then the scene. Long Fei's mind tightened. Emperor Xian, wash your ass and wait. Long Fei clenched both his fists. And then, the idea moved and said, are you convinced? The Force said, don't talk about that for now. Let's see if you can survive. If you can't find your way in, even if I admire you, you won't be able to survive. Long Fei said, let's not talk about that, if you submit to me, I can find a plane to enter. The power said, fine, I admire you. Long Fei said, it's impossible for you to not accept this. I know what kind of power you are and why you're here. The dragon-shaped mark is your host body and I am its host body. That Force said, you are right, but you should also be clear on one point. You are currently too weak, and you cannot control it. You cannot even control it. If you fuse with my power, your body will explode. I think you'd better. Long Fei said, that's my problem, I won't trouble you to worry about it. The power remained silent for a moment before saying, anyway, it is yours, no. You are mine, I am yours, we are one. I can compromise now. But, boy, let me tell you this. My character is very violent. If anyone is smug in front of me and provokes my displeasure by acting arrogantly, I will make his entire family displeased. You know my methods very well. Irritation? It was more than just irritation. It was simply an explosion. He didn't care who you were or who you were. If he was unhappy, then he would just kill. Long Fei said, you don't need to say. The Force said, if power is not meant to kill, then it is meaningless. In addition, that Force said, in the future, I'll have to trouble you to not get the repression of boundary stones out of there too easily. While speaking, he looked up at the repression of boundary stones floating above his head. As long as Long Fei gave the order, he would suppress it. He was fearless, even if the Emperor Xian stood in front of him, he would not be afraid, but this repression of boundary stones. His nemesis. Although it was just a tiny bit, a small piece of repression of boundary stones could still suppress him. In the ancient world, his body was still below the repression of boundary stones. However, that was not a small piece of repression of boundary stones, but a small piece of mountain. It was just that in this world, no one but him could find it. If not for the repression of boundary stones' trampling, it would have been impossible to make him surrender. Long Fei said lightly, "It's good that you understand. In the future, listen obediently, I guarantee that the repression of boundary stones will not appear." The idea withdrew. The repression of boundary stones disappeared. The power let out a heavy breath and muttered in his heart, "Damn it, there will be a day when I will smash you into pieces." Long Fei raised his eyes and asked, "What did you say?" The power immediately replied, "No, I didn't say anything. I'm saying that I will definitely cooperate with you. I'll remind you. You won't be able to endure my strength. Once you use my power, you will go berserk, and only I can control your body to protect it. If you lose a few parts of your body, don't blame me." No kidding. Long Fei himself knew. Once he went berserk, he wouldn't be able to control himself. Long Fei said, "Whatever parts are missing from my body, your body will also have what parts. I promise the repression of boundary stones." The power bellowed and said, "Damn." Long Fei moved his idea and the repression of boundary stones instantly floated into the air. "Are you unhappy?" The power immediately said, "No, not at all, not at all. How could I be displeased? The repression of boundary stones is the tightening curse." He was Monkey Sun, and Long Fei was Monk Tang. If you dare to move recklessly, with a thought of the tightening headband curse, you will be suppressed. Long Fei asked, "What is your strength called?" The force said, "Black and white." Black and white. Long Fei said silently. At this moment, a ray of light flashed inside the spatial crack. Long Fei's eyes also flashed with a ray of light, light of plane. Whoosh. He quickly flew up and rushed into the plane. This was his only chance and he didn't care what plane he was in or what level he was at. He just needed to go in. At least. This plane was still within the universal realm. Shua. Crash. A crack appeared in space. Long Fei passed through it. Light radiated in all directions. In the air, the moment Long Fei had entered this plane, the laws of this plane instantly wrapped around Long Fei and his body suddenly sank down, as he directly descended 10,000 meters from the sky. Free fall. This was a brand new plane. Each plane had its own independent boundary, as well as its own laws. Long Fei's level in the Zhenwu continent was Emperor Zhenwu's realm. However, in this world, his level was 0. This was the law of the realm. With a level 0 condition, it was impossible for Long Fei's body to fly in the air at all, and it directly fell to the ground. Ding. System notification. Congratulations to player Long Fei for entering the lower realm of Kanglan continent. Long Fei's mind tensed up. F***K. Lower plane? Why is it not universal realm? Rub. Will I die if I fall like this? Then. The aura on Long Fei's body moved, and red beams of light emerged from his entire body. Blood-colored scales appeared, and directly covered Long Fei's entire body. At this moment, when he used his power, his entire body was covered in Emperor Shen imprints. Piercing pain filled his entire body. Although it was the breaking through the seal, the moment Long Fei used his strength, all of the imprints on his body would appear. King Emperor Shen. Long Fei felt a piercing pain all over. Looking at the brand on his body, he felt like he was a slave who had been sold countless times. His entire body was branded with the brand of a slave. This feeling was truly very unpleasant. However, this was not the only thing he was unhappy about. Just a few seconds after Long Fei released the blood scales on his body, a system notification immediately sounded. Ding. System notification. Insufficient spiritual value. Not enough spiritual energy. After the blood scales had hidden into his body, Long Fei's eyes darkened. Damn, this time I'm going to die. Chapter 2694 Leopard Girl. Chapter 2694 Leopard Girl. It was the same as the laws of the realm. The Zhenwu continent was worth a lot of money, but the Kanglan continent was worth a lot of money. Due to the restrictions of the realm laws, the value of the true qi could not be converted into spiritual value. Long Fei was only a level 0 Kanglan continent, and his spiritual value was also only 10 point. Instantly, it was used up. What the F***ck are you doing this time? It's the demon beast. Quick. Let me level up. Upgrade. That's right, no matter how the spatial laws are restricted, my experience points will not be affected at all. You have to know that my experience points in the Zhenwu continent is over 100 billion. Immediately. Long Fei immediately opened up the system to check. The experience points was full. And it was just as Long Fei had said, with over 180 billion experience points. Now, just let him kill a demon beast. That's not right. Even if he had to kill a toad or squash a fly, a mosquito would be fine. He could go berserk. This was also because Kanglan continent was only a bit higher in terms of plane level than Zhenwu continent, and their experience points was not affected by much. If they were to directly fly into Universal Realm, changes would happen to their experience points. Right now, Long Fei only needed to kill a demon beast to level up. Hualala. 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 He couldn't control himself from frantically falling. Long Fei continuously rotated in midair. The heck? Flying into the virtual. When Long Fei moved, he obtained the power of the flying into the virtual when he broke through the limits of true martial emperor. He entered the universal realm. Ding. System notification. Level not high enough. Damn. Your sister. Long Fei cursed. Why is my level not enough? My current level is also Emperor Zhenwu's realm. Why is it not enough? Rise. Ding. System notification. Player's level is low. F***ck. Long Fei's level bar now had a big 0 written on it. That meant that he was now level 0. How do I rise to level 0? In Kanglan continent, it should be the level of ascension that should be placed on this plane. It's going to fall. It's going to fall. F***ck. I'm going to fall to death. I'm going to fall to death. Long Fei called out, causing the idea to move. Underworld fire. Ding. System notification. Insufficient spiritual value. Your sister. Decaying power. Ding. System notification. Insufficient spiritual value. Other than these two powers, Long Fei did not have a single cultivation technique, and amongst the space ring, other than the 2 cracked up space ring S and the repression of boundary stones, he did not have any other spirit treasures. There was only cultivation technique energy, sky sword energy, supreme dragon knife energy, spirit treasure energy left. All of these were absorbed and converted by the presbyter of God's tribe, and they were all absorbed by him now. Long Fei had not used it yet. However, so what if he used it now? Without levels, there would be no spiritual energy, which meant that there was no way to catalyze this. There was nothing he could do. Oh God, can't I squash a mosquito to death? One is enough. Long Fei was very bitter, but he could do nothing as he looked at the 180 billion experience overflowing out of his mouth. How much suffering was this? As long as it was a small monster, he would be able to ascend to the heavens. The closer he got to the ground, the more bitter Long Fei felt in his heart. I've thought of countless of ways to die, but I've never thought that I would fall to my death. Isn't this too tragic? Below him was a mountain. If he were to fall from 10,000 meters in the air, he would definitely die. A shadow fell from the sky. What's that? Why are you still shouting? Could it be a person? Holy ***T. I believe in camel droppings from the sky, but this is the first time I've seen a person falling from the sky. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and save them. Save? How can we be saved? If we fall from such a high place, we won't be able to withstand the impact. Exactly. Who is he? Why should we save him? A few hunting squads looked at Long Fei in the sky and revealed cold smiles. What do you think would happen if this person were to hit the ground? Would he throw the ***T out? Maybe the ***T will pop out of my mouth. Ha ha ha. While everyone was talking, a figure flew out from the forest. He was dressed in a black suit with a long ponytail, had a few camouflage patterns on his face, wore beast skin, and his skin was smooth and slightly tanned. He held a javelin in his hand, and carried several javelins on his back. The javelin in his hand shot out. Shua. The tip of the spear shined with a faint fluorescent light. The entire spear was thrust into a towering tree. The tip of his foot sank. He stood on the javelin and flicked it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He instantly flew into the air. Another javelin followed, and he flicked it again. His body also directly broke through the forest and leaped 100 meters into the air. The lady looked at Long Fei, who was falling from the sky, her eyes tensed up for a moment, and then said softly, "Catch me." What is the barbarian trying to do? Who cares what she does? Could it be that she wants to save him? TSK save her? This wild woman probably wants to kill someone, right? Maybe not. I've never seen her save people. I've only seen her kill people. Do you think she will pass the examination this time? Is there even a need to think about it? He would definitely not be able to pass the examination. How could the Kanglan College's #1 academy let a barbarian go? I heard she was born human and a wild leopard. Wouldn't it be shameful if she could enter the academy? This was a test of the academy. The people in the forest were all examinees. They were all shocked by the sudden appearance of the savage, but they were all laughing at him. At this height, the impact could not save him by relying on his javelins. In mid-air, Long Fei landed face to face. Seeing that a person was flying up into the sky, a trace of hope rose in his heart. Seeing that it was a woman, he was even more joyous. Could it be my charm value? That's not right. My charm value has been closed. There were still good people in this world. However, not waiting for him to finish, the woman's body sank and fell to the ground. Long Fei was startled. Damn, are you messing with me? I don't care. Long Fei's body retracted, and instantly became a straight line. He did not care about anything else, and directly hugged onto the woman's waist. Wild Woman said lightly, "Hold tight." He didn't seem to resist. Long Fei also said, "Don't worry, hug tight." However, his hands were in a position that he should not have put them in. Boom. Wild Woman grabbed the javelin in the tree trunk with one hand, wanting to jump up, but he couldn't. Crack. The javelin broke. He grabbed another one. KCHA. Asterisk broken again. Several times in a row. All the javelins were broken. Wild Woman's arm was almost broken. However, he landed safely. Savage's breath was weak. "Can you let go now?" Long Fei felt that he had touched a place that he shouldn't have, and immediately relaxed, and said awkwardly, "Sorry." And then, he took a step back and looked at the savage in front of him. He could not help but ask, "Leopard girl?" Chapter 2695, Thief. Chapter 2695, Thief. The leopard girl. He couldn't help but say it out loud. Without any reaction, he opened his mouth and spoke out. Wild Woman was stunned. She seriously looked at Long Fei for a moment, then retracted her gaze. With no other expression, she turned around to the side to clean up the broken javelins. Is she really the leopard girl? Damn. It can't be that leopard girl's lover, right? Playing cosplay here? That's not right. This is a foreign world, not Earth. There's no cosplay at all. No one knows about the leopard girl. Long Fei kept muttering to himself. Moreover, a few scenes flashed through his mind. The leopard girl shuttled through the forest, and then she was chased by a certain clan. How did this happen? Could she be someone from my seal memories? Long Fei's heart tensed up, and then he walked forward and said, "Sister, did we meet somewhere before?" Wild Woman did not reply. Looking at these broken javelins, she could not help but frown. She didn't know why. Seeing the figure descending from the sky, she went to save him with her life on the line. It had to be known that this was her first time saving someone. Seeing that she did not answer, Long Fei could not help but ask, "I feel that we have met somewhere before." Wild Woman coldly replied, "Can you be any more old-fashioned?" Finished. He tied the broken javelins on his back, looked at the dark forest, and muttered, I'm going to fail the examination again this year. Sigh. When will I be able to enter the Kanglan College? When will I be able to cultivate to the peak, and then leave this plane and enter the universal realm? His eyes were filled with loneliness. If she failed for 3 consecutive years, and if she failed again this year, then she would forever have the qualification to take the examination. Long Fei looked at the desolation in her eyes and felt an indescribable pain in his heart. Long Fei asked, Are you taking the assessment? I'll help you. Wild Woman looked at him but did not say anything. She just walked into the forest. As long as the exam was not over and there was still a chance, she would not give up. Hello. I can really help you. Long Fei chased after him. The leopard girl. Wild huntress. He could even transform. Most importantly, she had once appeared in his memories. His intuition told him that Long Fei must have something to do with him. The wild woman ignored Long Fei and continued walking. Now the javelin was gone. Her reliance was gone. Suddenly, the wild woman stopped and did a silent cleaning before slowly squatting down. Seeing that, Long Fei maintained his silence and slowly squatted, lowering his voice. I can help you. Wild Woman frowned, signaling for him to be quiet. At this moment, a flame wolf jumped up and down on the tree trunk. Not long after, it landed not far away from a piece of beast meat dripping with fresh blood. Long Fei looked at the flame wolf, his heart shocked. A trap. Although it was not a beast trap, Long Fei felt that this woman was no different from a leopard girl. Her beast skin clothes, her breasts. It was exactly the same. Suddenly, a woo. With a blood-curdling screech, the flame wolf fell into the trap. Wild Woman also instantly jumped out. His speed was extremely fast. He quickly arrived at the edge of the trap. Long Fei secretly thought, such vigorous movements. A woo. A woo. The painful howls of the wolves could be heard one after another. Watching the fire wolf Wild Woman in the trap, her brows finally relaxed a little. She knew that as long as she could bring this fire wolf back, she would pass the test. Pa, what a beautiful trap. I thought it wouldn't jump. I never thought that all the demon beastess would be brainless and actually jump down. On the other side, a small team of 4 walked out, led by a man wearing luxurious clothing. The man had a face full of smiles, and the 4 people behind him were like his servants. Stealing monsters. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Wild Woman also frowned. This is a trap I made. The man smiled and said, I know. Wild Woman said, so this flame wolf is my prey. The man said, you were the one who set the trap, but that doesn't mean that the prey is yours. All right, since I'm in a good mood, you should get lost. The servants behind him immediately clamored. Did you hear that? Get lost. Hurry up and get lost. Staying here to seek death. Wild bastard. Suddenly, when the 3 words bastard came out of his mouth, Long Fei's eyes trembled and flashed with a cold light as he stared at that person. You're courting death? Not waiting for him to rush up. Wild Woman immediately pulled Long Fei back. The servant sneered. A trash like you? Little bastard, if you have the guts, then take a step forward. Let's see who is courting death. Ha ha ha. Very arrogant. Long Fei's eyes were filled with killing intent. Wild Woman held on tightly and said, let's go. The grip was too tight and Long Fei was unable to struggle free. Long Fei's body slightly loosened and said, it's fine to scold me, but I can't scold you. Wild Woman's gaze tensed up. The man sneered, a trash like you who hasn't even reached level 1 is not even qualified to be scolded by me, you bastard. The muscles in the corner of Long Fei's eyes twitched. Then, his body stiffened slightly, and he didn't struggle. Wild Woman thought that Long Fei had given up his struggle and let go of her worries. At this moment, bam! Long Fei suddenly erupted with power, and instantly rushed out. Wild Woman was caught off guard, unable to make it in time to stop him. The man laughed coldly, looking at Long Fei who was rushing towards him with a face full of contempt. You're courting death. Ha ha ha. Young master, let me do it. How can this level 1 trash let you do it? It will dirty your hands. While they were talking, then the servant rushed forward. Level It was always the most crucial thing. When Long Fei entered the Kanglan continent, his level was already level 0. His cultivation, spirit energy, and health point were all restricted by the laws of the real plane. However, there was no restriction at all. Experience points. The Kanglan continent was merely at a slightly higher level than the Zhenwu continent's plane of existence, so Long Fei's experience points wasn't affected that much. One had to know, he actually brought 18 billion experience points with him to this place. Level 0? I'll let you know what level is. In that instant, Long Fei did not welcome the servant, but suddenly jumped into the trap. This action caused everyone to be stunned. The man was laughing so hard that he leaned back and forth. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. I thought I was going to do something awesome, but it turns out I'm just a retard. Ha ha ha. He fell into a trap and committed suicide. Ha ha ha. I'm going to die from laughter. Everyone was laughing. The space between Wild Woman's eyebrows tightened as he didn't understand what Long Fei was trying to do. Bam. Awoo. Long Fei jumped into the trap and killed the fire wolf that only had a sliver of blood left. It was also at this time. The system sounded out. Ding. Chapter 2696 Strong Kiss. Chapter 2696 Strong Kiss 180 times experience. If the Kanglan continent's plane of existence was only slightly higher than the Zhenwu continent's, then this much experience would be enough for Long Fei to reach the top of this plane. Level? I will let you all know what level is. 18 billion experience. As long as all of it was released, Long Fei could go to the skies. He was just short of killing a demon beast now. The system beep rang. The corner of Long Fei's mouth raised slightly, and he said indifferently, "Come, let this old man ascend to the sky." Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Fire Wolf for obtaining 180 experience, 10 spiritual value. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level 1. It's starting. It's going to blow up. Long Fei was nervous and excited. He couldn't help but look at the 180 billion experience points. However, after the two system beep sounds, it calmed down and did not hear another sound. Long Fei, who was initially passionate and excited, felt as if a bucket of ice water had been poured over his head. He was stupefied and immediately cursed in his heart. System, I'll Ku. 18 billion experience points and you want me to level up? Do you want to play me to death? He still wanted to act cool. He still wanted to soar to the top. But, just by being promoted by one level, what was this? He was supposed to be able to act cool, but now, he couldn't even act cool. How bitter was this? Long Fei opened the system to take a look. His mind trembled as he saw that the 18 billion experience was basically untouched. He thought to himself, it's not released. That's not right. To be exact, I haven't released all of them yet. I got it. Killing one monster at a time can only increase one level, it can only release one level. It can't be as easy as killing one monster at a time in the game. After Long Fei understood this point, his heart slightly relaxed. Although he could not go all the way to the highest point, it was still a good feeling to reach the first level of a saber. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Little bastard, don't kill yourself if you can't beat him. You want a hero to save a beauty with someone like you? I almost died from your laughter, ha ha ha. The four of them were still laughing. Wild Woman quickly ran to the side of the trap and saw Long Fei standing inside the trap. He relaxed slightly and said, "Let's go. Leave." Humph. I told you to scram just now, but you didn't. I'm not happy right now, so you guys can't leave. The man's eyes became serious. His fingers moved and he said, "Capture her. My young master Kwong has played with countless women, but we have never experienced the feeling of savages. We're going to have meat today. Got it?" A lewd smile appeared on the man's face. The three servants quickly surrounded him. He would still be afraid of javelins if he had them, but now that the Wild Woman did not have any javelins, it meant that the tiger did not have any claws. Wild Woman retreated slightly as he entered a state of cultivation. At this moment, Long Fei jumped out from the trap and stood beside the leopard girl, protecting her as he gently said, "Don't be afraid, there's me." Wild Woman looked at Long Fei. The man laughed again. "Ha ha ha. With you? What's the use of having you? Trash, you want to fight with me? You dead trash, why aren't you peeing?" Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei flipped his left hand. Like a phantom. It was also at this moment that a ball of purplish-black flames suddenly appeared above the man's head. "Young master, is your head on fire? Young master, you're on fire. Young master." The man raised his eyes slightly and said, "Who the hell touched my hair?" Before he could finish his words, the man instantly fell to the ground. In that instant, the purplish-black flames instantly engulfed the man. Boom. In an instant, he was reduced to ashes. A light breeze blew the ashes away, leaving only a charred human figure on the ground. All this happened in less than a second. Too fast. It was so fast that no one other than Long Fei could react. He didn't even know how he died. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Lin Kuang for obtaining 580 experience and 50 spiritual value. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level 2. 1 move for 1 rank. It instantly soared. This feeling was as good as continuous posturing. Awesome. However, the moment Long Fei used his power, his body was imprinted with a brand. On the face, on his forehead, hands, and body, all of the curse marks planted by the Emperor Xian appeared. He looked extremely sinister, as if he was a ghost. The other 3 saw that Long Fei was so scared that he directly fell to the ground, not caring about other things at all. His legs went soft, his 4 limbs crawled all over the place, and they quickly ran out. Ghost. Ghost. There's a ghost. Long Fei looked at the mark on his hand and touched it. His eyes darkened and his teeth chattered loudly. "Damn Emperor Xian, sooner or later I will explode with anger." The seal was broken through, although it did not hurt. However, it truly made Long Fei very angry. His handsome face was ruined. Moreover, he now looked like a cursed man. His entire body was branded with runes. It was very terrifying. Just by looking at the 3 fleeing servants, he knew how hideous his face was. It was even more terrifying than a ghost. However, Wild Woman did not flee. She looked at Long Fei seriously, and watched him silently. Long Fei also looked at her. That ghostly appearance of his did not scare her. Or could it be that she was so scared that she forgot to run? After a few seconds, Wild Woman asked softly, "Does it hurt?" In that moment, Long Fei's heart suddenly tensed up. His entire being seemed to be melting. The kind of feeling he had was indescribable. It was also at this time. A strange scene appeared. A yellow exclamation mark slowly floated out from the Wild Woman's head. Mission. Long Fei tensed up. She immediately thought of Yi Yorong. He took a step forward and said lightly, "No, it doesn't. Task not triggered." This caused Long Fei to be even more convinced that the woman in front of him was one of his super quest, the 7 Meridians painting. Since the mission is just a kiss, then now. Long Fei looked at the somewhat dazed Wild Woman, his heart having an incomparable thirst for power. He couldn't wait to complete the mission and obtain his full strength. Moreover, he was now like a worm in the brain. Dragons were naturally like this. At this moment, Long Fei suddenly grabbed onto Wild Woman's arm, and without giving her a chance to react, he forcefully kissed her. This was how Yi Yorong kissed her and completed the mission. The first mission is to accompany life and death. The strength acquired is black and white. Since there was a precedent, then Long Fei will do the same. Suddenly kissing it, Long Fei's heart became tranquil, and he said to himself, "Come, mission notification sound, let me complete the second mission, let me obtain the second powerful strength." However, the next second after he kissed her, the system beep did not make a sound. Ah! Chapter 2697 Exposure? Chapter 2697 Exposure? Ah! Long Fei suddenly jerked away, blood leaking from the corner of his mouth. If he did not pull away, his tongue would have been bitten off. Wild Woman glared at him. Killing intent filled his eyes. Long Fei said, "So ruthless?" The Wild Woman glared at him, and his gaze shifted downwards. Long Fei pinched both his legs together, and immediately said, "Next time, I won't dare." He whispered in his heart, why didn't he succeed? Yi Yorong also completed the mission after just a kiss. Could it be that this is different, or is she a woman that isn't part of the 7 Apertures missions? Long Fei secretly thought. 7 beautiful women. Every woman is different. Yi Yorong followed along with life and death, and in the end, when Long Fei was on the verge of death, he gave a light kiss. But this time, Long Fei directly gave her a strong kiss. "Do you want the woman to take the initiative?" Long Fei looked at her and said faintly, "About that, I'm sorry about that, I didn't do it on purpose. I kissed you once, so that's fine." The Wild Woman glared at Long Fei again, and said, "I advise you to leave this place as soon as possible. The person you killed just now is Lin Kuang, the young master of the Kanglan City's Lin family." As far as she was concerned, she did not dislike Long Fei at all. However, he didn't have a good impression of her either. Long Fei shrugged and said, "These are all not a problem. If I kiss you, won't you kiss me back?" While talking, Long Fei took another step forward. Wild Woman squinted his eyes, the killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. Long Fei immediately stopped and said, "It's just a joke. Sigh. It seems I have to make her fall in love with me. This mission must be completed. It seems I entered this plane for a reason as well." Long Fei thought in his heart. So far, only Yi Yorong had completed the Super Quest 7 Meridians painting and the other 6 women. Including the little girl from Earth, there were 5 more. If you count Leopard Girl as one, then there are only 4 left. How can I make a wild woman fall in love with me? Powerful, right? I have to release these 18 billion experience points as soon as possible. Any woman would have difficulty resisting the powerhouse's pursuit. Long Fei made a decision in his heart, and said, "Aren't you taking the examination? I'll help you." Wild Woman cut off the head of the flame wolf from the trap and jumped out of the pit. He carried the head of the flame wolf on his back and jumped into the forest. Long Fei did not follow him. Kanglan College. Examination? Heh. I'll bring up my level increase first, then we'll go to the Kanglan College and propose marriage. With this world's peak level, let's see if you can still resist it. When the time comes, wouldn't it be better to obediently let me capture you?" Long Fei's mouth hooked up, lightly smiled, and then jumped to the other side. Upgrade. What he needed was not a strong demon beast, nor was it a boss. He only needed to kill some monsters. This level of leveling was too easy. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Little Squirrel for obtaining 1 EXP and 1 spiritual value. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Wild Chicken. Congratulations player Long Fei for killing Wild Chicken. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Ding. 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 Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. The level up notification rang every few minutes. 1 move to increase by 1 grade. It felt so good. After 2 hours, he had risen to level 26 in succession. This speed was too valiant. This was because there were fewer monsters in the forest. Otherwise, Long Fei would have been faster. Huff. I've never felt so good before. Long Fei laughed excitedly. 2 hours and 20 minutes. Who the F***ck is there? Kanglan College? Lin Clan? Go to hell. At this moment. Whoosh. A model rose up from the distant hill and exploded in mid-air. It was also at this time. A deep voice called out, "The time for the assessment is over." The examinees in the forest also quickly rushed towards the exit. Long Fei grinned and said, "What level is my current realm in this world? If I am not at least level 20 powerhouse, I should not be too bad. Let's go take a look first." Long Fei didn't really want to leave. What he wanted to do now was to release 180 billion experience points as soon as possible and reach the Great Perfection stage. However, he was a little worried about the Leopard Girl. If she was injured or in an accident, It would directly affect his mission, and her figure would appear in his memories. In here. Bite my woman, can I let her go? Long Fei gently leaped, and landed 100 meters away. With his current level, he could easily control his chi. Do you remember the man's face? Even if he turned into powder, I would still be able to recognize him. This is too terrifying. I have never seen such a person before. All right. Enlarge your eyes and look carefully. If you dare to touch a member of my Lin family, I will make him regret coming to this world. Young Master Kwong Lord Lin is ranked 367 on Sky Sect of Ling Clan's genius ranking. The death of such a genius is a huge loss to Kanglan College. Don't worry, the elders from Sky Sect of Ling Clan are here too. At the exit of the examination grounds, besides the elders of the Kanglan College, there were also many people gathered. Many great clans of the Kanglan city had come. Other than that, and the people from the Sky Sect of Ling Clan. As long as it was a plane controlled by the Gods tribe, a Sky Sect of Ling Clan would be established, and all sorts of geniuses would be collected. This was a super control method. A genius was the blood vein of a plane. As long as one could control it, that was equal to controlling the entire plane. At this moment, a Lin Clan servant looked at the wild woman in the crowd and immediately said, "Patriarch, that savage appeared. That brat is with him." The other two servants also quickly said, "That little brat was saved by this woman. Their relationship is definitely not ordinary." Lin Tianhao frowned, killing intent could be seen in his eyes, as he bellowed out, "Men, seize her." Ha! As soon as he finished, several experts of the Lin clan behind him flew out. Within 2 breaths, he landed beside the leopard girl, and before the leopard girl could resist, he had already clamped onto her arm. "What are you doing?" The leopard girl resisted. However, her cultivation was quickly suppressed. He couldn't resist at all. His body flew up into the air. At this moment, Long Fei said solemnly, "If even my woman dares to touch me, then what the F***ck is she looking to die for?" Boom. The moment his aura surged out, his figure became like a mirage. Before the two of them could bring the leopard girl out, Long Fei's aura had already crushed the two of them in midair and made them fall down. Long Fei hugged the leopard girl and slowly landed. At this moment, the imprints on his body all appeared. Everyone around them looked as if they had seen a ghost. When the elders of the Sky Sect of Ling Clan saw the patterns on Long Fei's body, their expressions sank. God's tribe's curse mark, he is a person that the God's tribe is chasing and killing. Thank you for your support. Who else? Seconds Light. Who else? Seconds Light. The elders of the Sky Sect of Ling Clan were very clear about many things in the God's tribe. Long Fei used his spirit energy, and a curse immediately appeared on his body. There was no doubt that he was the one the God's tribe was chasing after. However, Kanglan continent was also only in a lower plane of the lower realms, so he wasn't that well informed. As for Long Fei's identity, the elders of the Sky Sect of Ling Clan South did not place much importance on him either. Furthermore, how could such a lowly person be valued by the God's tribe on such a low level? Very strong? Not really. Long Fei's gaze trembled slightly as he swept his gaze across the entire audience and said, "Whoever moves against her can give it a try. How can you all move Lao's woman?" Very wild. He did not place any of these people at all in his eyes. His words displeased quite a few people. Especially the members of the Lin clan. How arrogant. A mere examination disciple is actually so arrogant. "Which family are you from?" Lin Tianhao asked solemnly. While they were talking, Lin Tianhao also looked around and saw the numerous nobles within the Kanglan city not far away, but seeing that they did not react, he coldly laughed in his heart. "Is it a earth leopard? He's an old fox." The reason why he did not take action immediately was because he wanted to know Long Fei's identity. Some people were not to be trifled with. However, looking at the situation, Long Fei did not seem to be someone from one of the nobles of Kanglan City. Long Fei said lightly, "Heh. Rest assured, I am not a disciple of some large clan. If you want to take action, please do so as soon as possible." His tone was calm, but too arrogant. The Lin family was a huge family of the Kanglan city. Experts were as common as the clouds. How could he be so arrogant in front of Lin Tianhao? Wasn't a disciple taking the examination courting death? Humph. You dog, I want to see just how strong you are. How dare you act so arrogantly? As soon as he finished, a man suddenly flew out from behind Lin Tianhao, his hands forming claws, releasing spirit energy. He directly grabbed towards Long Fei's throat. Kneel down and accept your death. The leopard girl's eyes narrowed. Long Fei said softly, don't worry. And then, protecting the leopard girl behind him, his eyes locked onto the man that flew over as he muttered, killing people is much faster than killing monsters. I was just worrying about whether I would kill him or not. He flipped his left hand. Buzz. The purplish-black flames slightly moved, and just as the man pounced towards him, Long Fei's left hand moved to intercept him. Bam! The underworld fire burst out. The Lin clan male's arm instantly burned and turned into ashes, and then his entire body also turned into ashes. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Lin family elder for obtaining 15,000 experience and 400 spiritual value. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Another level up. It was too fast. This was much better than reaching the maximum level together. Although Underworld Fire S were just the skin of the super force of Ming Clan, in this level of existence, the strength of the Underworld Fire S were just too great. No matter who it was. That's the move. This is the technique. The young master also died like this. He's a ghost. A single instant kill caused a small commotion. They all looked at Long Fei and couldn't help but to take a few steps back. The leopard girl also looked at Long Fei. Long Fei smiled lightly and said, how is it? I am very handsome, am I enchanted? The leopard girl glared at Long Fei and said, you just killed the Lin family's elder. The Lin family is a huge family in the Kanglan city. If you provoke them, the consequences would be. Long Fei interrupted, the ones who need to worry are them, because they have angered me. Long Fei stared at Lin Tianhao and said, just this kind of trash. Too weak. Is there anyone stronger? Heh. His tone was filled with provocation. Lin Tianhao's eyes turned sinister as he said solemnly, brat, you're dead for sure today. Kill him. In an instant, a large group of people rushed out from behind Lin Tianhao. It was also at this time. An old man from the Kanglan College walked out and said lightly, Clan leader Lin, is there some kind of misunderstanding? If this kind of super genius could enter the Kanglan College, then the Kanglan College would definitely become even stronger. Lin Tianhao bellowed, didn't you see him kill my Lin family's elders? Kill them all. He ignored them. A dozen or so Lin clan experts surrounded Long Fei, and under Lin Tianhao's command, they all drew out their swords and formed a sword formation. The sword formation began to move. Killing intent raged. The Lin family's 6 corporeal forms. Isn't it a bit too much of a fuss? The 6 heavenly sword formation is a super sword formation that can even kill a stage 9 demon beast. This kid is dead for sure. Who asked him to be so arrogant, killing an elder of the Lin clan in front of clan head Lin? He truly knows his limits. I bet he won't be able to take 3 moves. 3 moves. 1 move and you will die. A dozen elites quickly activated their sword intent, which also became denser. The leopard girl said in a low voice, the Lin family's 6 paths of the sword formation is the principle of the 8 desolations and 6 paths of the sword formation. It was created by a great ancestor of the Lin family, and it is also because of this sword formation that the Lin family is able to create it. Bang, bang, bang. Without waiting for the leopard girl to finish, she could only hear a series of banging sounds from the surroundings. Then, over a dozen of the Lin family elites fell to the ground, their bodies twitching. Ding, ding, ding. The system exploded. After consecutively leveling up to level 10, the current Long Fei had directly soared to level 40. 1 level. It felt too good. Bringing 18 billion experience points into this plane, how wonderful. Long Fei slowly walked back to the leopard girl's side and shrugged, just like this. Damn, it's not enough for me to tickle him. Hey, are there any stronger ones? Too weak. The entire audience was dumbfounded. The Lin family's proud 6 corporeal forms could not even last for a second before being instantly destroyed. Furthermore, those disciples were also instantly killed. The leopard girl was stunned. Lin Tianhao's eyes darkened, he did not know how to react. Looking at the Lin family elites on the ground, he clenched his fists tightly. Kid, who exactly are you? Long Fei pulled back his hatred. I'm your father. Crack. The joints on Lin Tianhao's body exploded. Die. The aura on his body burned into flames. Along with a few elders beside Lin Tianhao, all of them rushed towards Long Fei. Long Fei's eyes twitched, and his lips curled into a smile. Scum. His left hand moved. His 5 fingers formed a claw and the decaying power instantly surged, grabbing towards the sky. Buzz. An explosion sounded in the air. Not waiting for Lin Tianhao and the other powerhouse to fall, they were instantly sucked in by a strong suction force. Bang, bang, bang. The few of them were stacked together like an ahat. Then Long Fei made a grasping motion with his 5 fingers. Inhale. Hualala. Hualala. The profound spirit qi in Lin Tianhao's body was quickly being drained. The few elders behind him did the same. His frantic struggles were completely useless. 10 seconds. Lin Tianhao and the few elders turned into corpses. Long Fei stepped on them, swept his gaze across them, and asked coldly, "Who else?" Chapter 2699 All of you are trash. Chapter 2699 All of you are trash. A great clan of the Kanglan city. Experts are as common as the clouds. Overbearing. They were all scum. Long Fei finished them all by himself in less than 10 minutes. It was like a dream. Many people did not manage to react, as they were completely stupefied. Seeing Lin Tianhao, who had turned into a dried corpse, their faces all turned ugly. When Long Fei said this, who else immediately crushed everyone present. He didn't dare to make a sound. Too domineering. Long Fei turned around to look at the leopard girl, who was also in a daze, and asked, "How is it? How handsome?" The leopard girl looked at Long Fei. Long Fei laughed. "Are you enchanted by me?" The leopard girl rolled her eyes at him and didn't say anything. Her heart was filled with shock, but she wasn't captivated by Long Fei, because there was someone living in her heart, no matter what happened. The sea dried up and the rocks shattered. The sky was desolate and the earth was old. The person in her heart would not change even if she tried to use stellar transposition. Thus, her gaze towards Long Fei was very calm. The surface of the lake was as tranquil as a mirror. Not a single ripple could be seen on it. Long Fei was secretly shocked in his heart. How could this be? There's no reason. Logically speaking, any girl would be captivated by someone as domineering as me. Why is it that her eyes are becoming calmer and calmer? He couldn't charm her even like this. One had to know that the eyes of the surrounding girls were all flashing with desire, wishing that they could leap into Long Fei's embrace. Who doesn't like this kind of powerhouse? But the panther girl was simply too calm. "Do you want to force me to use my trump card?" Long Fei muttered in his heart. If he still could not attract her attention even like this, then he could only activate charm value. 100 charm value S was unstoppable. Cough cough. An elder of Kanglan College walked up with a smile on his face and said, "Big brother, you have passed the examination. Now, you are an official disciple of Kanglan College." If such a terrifying genius were to join the Kanglan College, the influence that the Kanglan College would have would definitely be even greater. However, Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "Kanglan College? Disciple? Not interested." He refused without thinking. Long Fei was not the least bit interested. He was probably the only one who could reject Kanglan College so straightforwardly. You know, Kanglan College was the #1 school in Kanglan Continent, the Warrior Dream Hall. However, he did not even think about it for a second and instantly rejected it. The surrounding people were also stunned. He did not understand. If he did not want to join the Kanglan College, then why would he undergo the assessment? Long Fei turned to the leopard girl and said, "Let's go." However, the leopard girl did not move. She walked up to the back of the fire wolf head and said, "Elder, Did you pass my test? Huh. Long Fei was startled. That elder looked at the leopard girl, then looked at Long Fei, and said, "Your results have not reached this year's standards." The leopard girl's gaze slightly darkened, carrying a trace of loneliness. Long Fei felt his heart ache. He stared at the elder and said, "Old man, say it again." The elder smiled slightly and said, "Little brother, if you can enter Kanglan College, I can make an exception and make her an official disciple of Kanglan College." The leopard girl's eyes shone with a trace of light as she looked at Long Fei. She wanted to enter the Kanglan College. Very much. Because only those who entered the Kanglan College would have the chance to be chosen to enter the Universal Realm. She wanted to enter the Universal Realm. She really wanted to. Long Fei looked at the leopard girl and asked, "Do you really want to enter the academy?" The leopard girl did not hesitate and directly said, "If you want, can you help me?" Her words caused Long Fei to be stunned for a moment, and said, "It couldn't be that a boy is waiting for you in the academy, right?" The leopard girl shook her head. "No, only by entering the Kanglan College would I have the chance to be chosen to enter the Universal Realm. I want to enter the Universal Realm. 100 years have passed. He should be entering the Universal Realm very soon." Him. Long Fei's heart sank, and thought to himself, "Damn, so there was someone in your heart. System, you are asking me to poach. This isn't a good thing, is it? The difficulty level is very high. No wonder it's a super mission." Long Fei muttered in his heart, then looked at the leopard girl with serious eyes and said, "For you, I can do anything." And then, elder of Long Fei Academy said, "All right, I agree." The elder's eyes flashed with excitement. "Good, good, good. From now on, you two are both disciples of Kanglan College. You can immediately enter the Kanglan College to study. Come, come, come with me." The elders were afraid that Long Fei would slip away, so they directly grabbed onto his hand and personally brought him to the Kanglan College. Many people around him were looking at him. Among them, an old man had a special gaze, staring at Long Fei gloomily. Long Fei felt it. But not on purpose. Of course. This was because Long Fei didn't know that the old man was an elder of the Sky Sect of Ling Clan. When Lin Tianhao was killed, the elders of the Sky Sect of Ling Clan did not recklessly make their move. He started to feel that Long Fei was extraordinary, and had to figure out Long Fei's identity no matter what. Moreover, he had to report this to the Gods tribe as well. The Kanglan College was located at the highest point of the entire Kanglan city. It was the #1 school in Kanglan continent. It was also a gathering place for geniuses. Long Fei and the leopard girl were brought into the Kanglan College and into a hall. The great hall was already filled with dozens of elders. As soon as they saw Long Fei entering, some of them slightly frowned. Some of them brought with them some danger, while some revealed cold, scornful smiles. "Huang Qian, is this the person you brought? He doesn't look any different from an ordinary person. I can't see what kind of special gifts and blood vein this person has, so how could he be worthy enough for all of us to come? I think it's just SOSO. Kid, let's test your talent and blood vein first. Kanglan College does not accept trash. Inherent skill, blood vein, in any plane, was the standard method to test whether a person was a genius or not." The words in the hall were filled with disdain. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up, and similarly, he said in disdain, "I don't have talent, and I don't have any blood vein, but compared to trash like you, it's more than enough. A senior elder of the Kanglan College? Do I have to put it in my eyes? Disdain of your father? You have the right. You made me feel bad, but how could I make you feel good?" Ever since he had merged with the first power, Black and White, Long Fei's temperament had changed as he became even more arrogant. The dragon's own personality was the same. As soon as he finished, fearing that the Lin family's tragedy would occur again, Huang Qian's expression darkened. He immediately said, "Elders, don't be angry. This is his character. I can guarantee that his talent will shock every one of you." It was also at this time. A middle-aged man holding a large blade rushed into the hall filled with killing intent. With a wave of his large blade, the Octoterra blade chi was completely smashed towards Long Fei, and he bellowed, "Return my Lin family's lives." Chapter 2700 Blue Mist President. Chapter 2700 Blue Mist President. He suddenly rushed out without any warning. The eyes of all the elders in the hall tightened. Lin Xiao's cultivation was not low at all. Moreover, the saber technique he trained in was extremely exquisite. One saber could cut through life and death. It could be said that not many below the 7th rank would be able to withstand this saber strike. Plus, this was a sneak attack. He was even more unable to resist it. Huang Qian's eyes narrowed as he called out to Lin Xiao, stop. The expression on the faces of the elders in the hall changed, but a lot of people sneered in ridicule, arrogant. Now we're going to die. Too fast. No one could stop him. However, the corner of Long Fei's eyes twitched. Without waiting for Lin Xiao's blade to fall, he kicked out explosively. Bam! Lin Xiao flew out of the main hall and flew hundreds of meters away before he crashed into a wall and collapsed. His abdomen was shattered as his eyeballs burst out and his body convulsed a few times. Dead. Ding. Long Fei leveled up one more level. From start to finish, Long Fei did not even glance at them. He was quite domineering. Many clan elders in the arena suddenly stood up and looked at Long Fei in unison. There was amazement in his eyes. There was also killing intent. A disciple ran into the hall and said, "Senior brother Lin Xiao has died." Immediately, the main hall was in an uproar. "Brat, your methods are too vicious. What are you trying to do, to be so ruthless and take someone's life with one move? Someone like that definitely can't stay in the academy. Moreover, look at his body, it's all covered in strange marks. He's the one who cursed, so he's definitely not a good person. We can't let him stay." After discussing, Long Fei did not mind at all. Huang Qian tried his best to persuade Yi Chen, but his voice was drowned out by the words of Yi Wen, and he had no strength to defend himself. Leopard Girl also looked at Long Fei in astonishment. "Everyone be quiet. Everyone, quiet down." One of the great clan elders' voices sank as he suppressed the voice within the great hall. After that, he looked at Long Fei and asked, "What do you have to say?" Long Fei shrugged. "No." The great elder said, "Nothing at all?" Long Fei thought for a moment, then said, "If you must say something, there is one sentence you can say as well." The great elder asked, "What?" The corner of Long Fei's mouth hooked up slightly, and lightly smiled. "I want to say, everyone here are all trash." Boom. His words were like a bolt of lightning. What was this? This is called looking down on the Kanglan College. He was looking down on all the elders in the hall. "Aren't you being too arrogant?" At this point, he had no way to defend himself. He simply did not know how to defend himself, because Long Fei's words had infuriated the masses. "You're courting death. Brat, you're too arrogant. With your character, you don't have the qualifications to enter Kanglan College. If you call us trash, then what are you? I definitely do not approve of him entering the Kanglan College. I don't agree either. I disagree." He had angered the masses. Long Fei looked at the elders who were desperate and impatient, laughed coldly and said, "It was clearly the other party who ambushed me first. You guys didn't think about it for me, so what are you saying that you have to feel sorry for the person who ambushed you? Sympathy for the weak. Show your kindness. If that's not trash, then what is? I said trash like all of you are light. Unconvinced. What kind of logic was this?" Long Fei's words were like gasoline poured onto their anger. Everyone was even more furious. Long Fei sneered and said, "If you don't accept it, you can come up and challenge me. I will accept any challenge, but you all must prepare yourself, because I won't be lenient. Arrogant. Too arrogant. I'll do it. Kid, let's see how long you can stay arrogant for." As they spoke, several elders walked out. Long Fei was completely unafraid. However, just as they were about to make their move, a deep voice called out, "Everyone stop." As soon as his voice faded, the great hall quietened down instantly, and Long Fei's state of mind sank a little as he felt the strong pressure powerhouse. The elders in the hall trembled slightly, not daring to speak a word. Half a second later, a figure approached. It seemed very far away, but it instantly landed in the main hall. An old man in his 60s or 70s appeared somewhat slovenly, but the aura exuded from his body was very unusual. It was completely different from the aura of the senior elders in the hall. The aura of the powerhouse. The elders bowed. Dean. The slovenly old man looked at Long Fei and asked, "Are you willing to cultivate with me?" Directly. Very direct. All the elders in the hall were stunned. It had to be known that the dean had never accepted disciples, but now he wanted to accept disciples? How much did he care about this arrogant and ignorant brat in front of him? However, Long Fei still said coldly, not interested. She completely ignored him. Many of the elders said angrily, "Don't fail to appreciate the kindness. The dean has never accepted a disciple before. It's your fortune to be chosen by him for 8 lifetimes. Kid, you should know how to be arrogant." The slovenly old man's eyes narrowed. He smiled and said, "That's good. You don't need to call me master. Our friends treat each other well. Can you follow me and cultivate?" Everyone in the hall was shocked. Descending his status? Do you think so highly of him? This was the principal of the Kanglan College. He was a perfect Kanglan continent. He rarely appeared before, but now, he actually lowered himself to become friends with a brat, and that brat completely ignored him. Just when Long Fei wanted to refuse. The slovenly old man, idea, moved slightly and said, "Immortal Master Liu Yuan asked you to cultivate with me." Immortal Master Liu Yuan? Long Fei tensed up. Immediately, Long Fei looked at the slovenly old man and said, "You know." The slopper-looking old man chuckled, "You've agreed. Since you've agreed, then come with me to cultivate." "Brat, this is not a good place to talk. Follow me. You don't have much time left. The elders of the Sky sect of Ling clan have already reported what happened here to the God's tribe. You were exposed too quickly." The idea communicated anxiously. Long Fei's eyes became tight. Sky sect of Ling clan? F***CK. I forgot that the God's tribe has set up this surveillance organization on many different planes. At the same time, Long Fei thought about the eyes of the old man. The corners of his mouth hooked up as he said solemnly, "The 10,000 world chasing order has been activated, right? Come. Kill as many as you want. I was just worried that I wouldn't be able to find the God's tribe dog." Long Fei was not afraid. He had a stomach full of fire at Zhenwu continent. The old man sent mentally, "You have to leave this place as soon as possible. Come with me." Finished. The slovenly old man did not wait for Long Fei to reject. He directly grabbed his hand and immediately flew out. Long Fei was startled. He looked at the leopard girl and was carried away by the slovenly old man before he could say anything. Sky sect of Ling clan. The pavilion master knelt on the ground, his eyes filled with shock. Long Fei? He is Long Fei? And then, the pavilion master stood up and immediately said, "Immediately send someone to keep an eye on that boy. Initiate 10,000 worlds chasing order. A lot of powerhouse will be appearing soon, against the God's tribe. No matter who it is, they must die." Chapter 2701, The Furthest Distance. Chapter 2701, The Furthest Distance at the Peak of the Blue Mist. The slovenly old man stopped and looked up into the sky, as if he were waiting for something. Long Fei, who was standing behind him, also looked at the sky and could not help but ask, "What are you doing here?" The sky was blue and cloudless. There was nothing special about it. Huff. The slovenly old man let out a light breath, then sat down cross-legged and said, "My cultivation is already at the great circle of the Kanglan continent. I can initiate the baptism of heavenly tribulation and allow your flying into the virtual to step into the universal realm. Are you ready?" Heh. Long Fei stared blankly for a moment, then said, "You want me to enter universal realm in your place? Not just a substitute. This was a form of protection. Because this way, Long Fei would enter the universal realm as the old man and not be discovered. This result was, the slovenly old man would die. The slovenly old man replied, "Yes, this is the only method that you can use to avoid the God's tribe's 10,000 worlds hunting order. This is also the only method that you can think of. All right. Prepare yourself. I will immediately activate the divine retribution. He did not say that he would die. His life was given to him by the immortal master Liu Yuan. Back then, he had already promised to never refuse anything. The human emperor disappeared. The immortal master Liu Yuan had to help Long Fei with all of her strength. Long Fei immediately said, "Wait first." The slovenly old man said, "You don't have much time left. The pavilion master of the sky sect of Ling clan must have already sent the news to the gods tribe, and it won't be long before this plane attracts all the other powerhouses from different realms. At that time, you won't be able to escape." The 10,000 worlds kill order was too terrifying. It was like a locust swarm. The moment it found a target, it would pounce on it violently. After all, the rewards given by the Emperor Xian were simply too tempting, and no one could resist them. Furthermore, with the gods' tribe's absolute hegemony in the universal realm, even if there were no rewards, there would be a lot of powerhouse chasing after Long Fei in order to curry favor with him. Long Fei said, "It's fine if you want me to leave, but there are some things that I haven't finished." The slovenly old man asked, "What do you want? Didn't you just enter the Kanglan continent? The most important thing right now is how you will avoid the pursuit of the powerhouse of 10,000 realms." The matter regarding the leopard girl had not been resolved yet. Not yet. He couldn't just leave like this. Moreover, the leopard girl was currently very weak. If she really was one of the 7 Meridians mission, then she was his woman. Naturally, he had to protect his woman well. In addition, there was also one more thing, the sky sect of Ling clan, the monitoring point of the gods tribe, to leak information. This made him very unhappy, and when he saw the gods tribe dog, he could not control the anger in his heart. Long Fei took a few steps back and said, "There are some things that I must do. If I don't do it now, I might regret it for the rest of my life." Finished. Long Fei flew in the air towards the direction of the palace. The slovenly old man's eyes narrowed, and he immediately flew into the air to give chase. In any case, he had to ensure Long Fei's safety. And then again, no matter what, he had to ensure that Long Fei's flying into the virtual entered the universal realm safely. This was a mission that he had been waiting for his entire life. He knew very well in his heart that his lifespan was coming to an end. The leopard girl stood alone in the square. Looking at her surroundings, she felt a sense of unfamiliarity. Earlier, she had requested to enter Dub Pavilion, but he was met with a round of mockery. Only the super geniuses had the right to enter Dub Pavilion. Furthermore, her innate skills are all low class. At most, she can only become an ordinary disciple of the Kanglan College. Her goal in entering the Kanglan College was to enter Dub Pavilion, and then find a way to enter the universal realm. Seeing the leopard girl alone in the plaza, Long Fei's heart ached. He lightly landed behind her and said with a slight smile, "I'm back." The leopard girl was stunned. She turned around to look at Long Fei, and at this moment, her heart was slightly moved. He didn't know why. It was as if she had been waiting for this image for a long time. At this moment, she wanted to jump into Long Fei's embrace, but she endured it in the end. After all, the man in front of her was not the person she was waiting for. 100 years, the vicissitudes of time. Long Fei remembered the seal, and after he entered the Zhenwu continent, his appearance changed. To the leopard girl, the person she would always remember was the Long Fei from when she was in God's martial continent. Now, she did not even know Long Fei's name, nor did she ask. She was not interested in any man in the world, because from the very beginning, her heart was always with Long Fei. This is perhaps the furthest distance in the world. A change in appearance. A memory seal. They faced each other, yet they did not know who the other was. The leopard girl's eyes regained her calm. Long Fei silently thought in his heart, "Still can't move her? How can I hit her?" Chasing girls was not Long Fei's strong point. Being seduced by a girl was the best. Who? Long Fei let out a light breath in his heart. Forget it. Open up all your charm value. He completely released the 100 hidden charm value. Long Fei's appearance did not change, but his body was emitting an enchanting aura, one that was difficult to resist. Wow! So handsome. Senior brother, can I be your woman? Senior brother, do you lack a warm bed? Senior brother, I want to give you a child. All of a sudden, all of the female disciples in the plaza looked like they were thirsting for food, and wanted to strip naked and throw themselves into Long Fei's embrace. Not just women, but also many men. With his charm value at full strength, he was unable to resist the temptation. Long Fei did not care about the surrounding voices, but rather looked at the leopard girl with affection. He took a small step forward, and gently stroked the black hair on the leopard girl's forehead as he gently said, "Can you be my woman?" "Ah! Ah!" The surrounding female disciples screamed. He even fainted. The leopard girl saw the expression in Long Fei's eyes, but she could not resist either. Her entire body seemed like it was about to melt as she uncontrollably nodded her head in agreement. But his mind slightly moved. In the next second, her body shrank back. Her eyes regained their calmness as she said, "No, I have someone in my heart." F***CK. Long Fei cursed in her heart, if she could even resist 100 points of charm value, then what kind of man is she hiding in her heart? Long Fei did not understand. 100 charm value could even enchant demon beastess. Not a woman now. How determined was this woman's heart? How much did she love a man? Long Fei immediately hid his charm value and recovered his expression. "All right, I won't force you. If you have anything you want me to do for you before I leave, I can help you with anything." Since he could even resist 100 points of charm value, Long Fei knew in his heart that he wouldn't be able to dig the corner of the leopard girl's head. He was slightly envious of the man in the leopard girl's heart. It was very rare to be able to make a woman so dedicated. Long Fei gave up. The leopard girl looked at Long Fei and said, "I want to enter Dub Pavilion, I want to go to Universal Realm." Chapter 2702, Sky Sect of Ling Clan Exterminate. Chapter 2702, Sky Sect of Ling Clan Exterminate. I want to go to Universal Realm. The leopard girl looked at Long Fei very resolutely. Seeing Long Fei's somewhat astonished expression, she knew that this was an impossible task and that no one could help her. The flying into the virtual could only rely on itself. No one could help her. The leopard girl lowered her head and smiled bitterly. Very disappointed. To her, this was an extravagant hope, but she wasn't able to restrain herself from saying it out loud. However, just as she was at a loss, Long Fei said gently, "All right, I agree." The leopard girl raised her eyes and looked at Long Fei. In the distance, the slovenly old man was also stunned. The leopard girl said, "To enter the Universal Realm, one must have the flying into the virtual. Only a perfect stage powerhouse can do that. And to every perfect stage powerhouse, this is a lifelong gamble, and also the wish of a lifetime. No one is willing to use their own cultivation to help others, because no matter if they succeed or fail, that person will die." Long Fei was startled, and then looked towards the slovenly old man in the distance. He didn't know it just now. Now he knew. If the slovenly old man were to grant his wish, he himself would die. Long Fei was startled and looked at the leopard girl. "Don't worry, since I promised you, I will definitely do it. I have never broken my promise to others, and even more so, will never break my promise to a woman I like." The leopard girl looked at Long Fei and said, "I'm sorry, I can't like you. There's someone in my heart now." Long Fei smiled and said, "I know. All right, don't worry, go to the peak of Blue Mist Mountain and wait for me there." Long Fei said, "I will be there in a day." The leopard girl looked at Long Fei and said, "One day? You have a way. Your cultivation." Long Fei said, "I have a way, don't worry about that. Good boy. Be good and wait for me there." The leopard girl looked at Long Fei, then turned around and walked towards the direction of the peak of the blue mist. She was very moved, but she did not really believe that there was no one who would be willing to use her entire lifetime's worth of cultivation to help others. However, she was still headed towards the peak of the blue mist. Because that was the tallest place in the Kanglan continent, and also the place she thought to be the closest to the universal realm. It was the closest place she could get to her loved one. When the leopard girl walked far away, the slovenly old man walked over and said with a frown, "You wouldn't really let her into the universal realm, right? Your life is more important than anyone else's." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei said, "Don't worry, I have a way." He didn't want the slovenly old man to sacrifice him. Moreover, perfect stage. To Long Fei, there was only a little more than 50 levels, which was just a little more than 50 monsters. Right now, he had enough experience points to break through the great perfection stage of Kanglan continent. The slovenly old man said frantically, "A solution? What could he do?" "The only way to enter the universal realm is to activate the heavenly tribulation. The flying into the virtual has no other way." Long Fei smiled lightly. "Yes, this is my method." The slovenly old man continued, "Only a perfection realm powerhouse can trigger a heavenly tribulation." "What method do you have?" "Find another perfect powerhouse." "But we still need their consent." "Agree." "Who would agree?" Anyone, especially a pinnacle powerhouse of a plane, would definitely not agree to such a thing. Long Fei grinned, "It's only at the great complete realm, it's very fast. One day should be enough. I happen to be able to do the second thing." The slovenly old man did not know how to react. He asked sluggishly, "What is it?" Long Fei took a step forward and headed out of Kanglan College. From afar, he heard a voice, "Exterminate the Sky Sect of Ling Clan." Exterminate the Sky Sect of Ling Clan? What kind of place is the Sky Sect of Ling Clan? The slovenly old man didn't react for a moment. When he did, his expression changed greatly. "Boy, don't act recklessly. Don't act recklessly. It's a mess. It's going to be a mess." Immediately, the slovenly old man chased after him with all his might. Sky Sect of Ling Clan. The 10th floor. The pavilion master stood outside the window and looked up to the sky. The sky above the Kanglan continent had already started to change, and dozens of places in the sky started to distort, forming a vortex. The sky twisted. The spirit energy in the Kanglan continent became somewhat chaotic. Everyone on the continent raised their heads to stare at the sky. What's that? He was born peculiar. This is an ominous sign. Is something big going to happen? Is it some kind of spiritual treasure being born? The distortion is getting more and more intense. Will the heavens break? Not only was it above the Kanglan city, it was also above the entire Kanglan continent. This was true for the eastern border, as well as for the southern domain, northern territory, and western city. The sky began to twist and distort. The spiritual energy in the entire continent was getting more and more chaotic, making it impossible to cultivate. The pavilion master looked at the twisted spirals in the sky and laughed faintly. "It's about to come, it's about to come, ha ha ha. I never thought that I would still be able to accomplish such a great deed in my lifetime. Once that fellow is caught, I can be promoted to the next rank and become a descendant of God's tribe. Ha ha ha. I'm glad." He never thought that he would attract so many powerhouses all of the sudden. At the same time, he also knew that Long Fei's identity wasn't simple. Just as he was feeling happy, a disciple of the Sky Sect of Ling Clan walked over and said, "Master, it's bad." The pavilion master's gaze darkened as he shouted, "What matter is this?" panicking in panic. The disciple said, "The disciple you want us to watch will arrive at Sky Sect of Ling Clan soon." The pavilion master laughed coldly, "What is there to be anxious about? He probably thinks that he told us about the Lin family's experts being killed, and wants to know his ranking in Sky Sect of Ling Clan, right? Any genius would want to know their ranking. And then, the pavilion master's voice sank as he coldly said, "Pass my order, to set up a heaven rising formation. Whoever is able to kill him will become the pavilion master." "Kid, this is where you die. Ha ha ha. You wouldn't even dream of setting up an inescapable net here, right? As long as you come in, you'll be in hell." The pavilion master smiled sinisterly. If he could kill Long Fei, it wouldn't be a big accomplishment, it would be a miraculous skill. His order was given. In less than half a second, the Sky Sect of Ling Clan had turned into an Azura killing field. The dragnet was ready. They were waiting for Long Fei to come in. 10 minutes later, Long Fei stood outside the Sky Sect of Ling Clan, looking at the 10-story tower as he muttered to himself, "It really is the exact same building inside the God capital. Sky Sect of Ling Clan." God's tribe dog. Mother **k. Breaking the news, right? In that instant, Long Fei moved the space between his brows, and the idea landed on top of the supreme dragon knife's energy. Your power should still be around, right? Come. Boom. When the supreme dragon knife's energy fell into his hands, Long Fei's fists immediately surged with the chi inside his body. The energy under his right arm began to surge, and he slashed out. Chapter 2703 A Group of Dregs. Chapter 2703 A group of dregs. The shocking blade chi slashed down. The 1,000-meter-tall blade chi slashed down at the sky sect of Ling Clan. Crack. The sky split open. The moment the blade chi touched the sky sect of Ling Clan Tower, it released a series of explosive sounds. Hualala. 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 Boom. The 10th floor of the sky sect of Ling Clan Tower had collapsed. Boom. The 9th floor had collapsed. Boom. The 8th level is collapsing. Boom. He was unstoppable. One layer after another burst. From the center of the sky sect of Ling Clan Tower, he was split into two. The entire Kanglan city was dumbfounded. The sky sect of Ling Clan is going to fall. The sky sect of Ling Clan has collapsed. It's going to fall. His scalp went numb, and countless people cried out in alarm. They were unable to express the fear in their hearts. What did the sky sect of Ling Clan represent? God's tribe. The country could be destroyed, the sects could be destroyed, the academies could be destroyed, but no one dared to touch the sky sect of Ling Clan. No one could bear such an outcome. The God's tribe was supreme. Heavens, this was a godlike existence. No one would be stupid enough to oppose the heavens and gods. But now, the sky sect of Ling Clan was divided into two, and after swaying for a few seconds, it fell down. Rumble. Rumble. With two loud bangs, the entire Kanglan city began to shake. This is bad. Off in the distance, the slovenly old man was frowning. He had come late. It was also at this time. Ding, ding, ding. A few notifications sounded out in Long Fei's mind, and his heart relaxed a little. Damn, they only killed a few people. At the same time, his level soared. Mary. There were actually more and more spectators. The elders of the Kanglan College S, the aristocrats of the Kanglan City S, and the powerhouse S of various great sects had all rushed over to watch. They saw Long Fei standing there alone. A man said in a deep voice, "Brat, are you crazy? Attacking sky sect of Ling Clan, are you seeking death?" Long Fei looked at him and sneered, "I don't know if I'm courting death, but you're really courting death." Humph. A mere lame duck dares to do this. Not waiting for him to finish. The supreme dragon knife in Long Fei's hand moved slightly as he swung his blade chi. That person instantly fell to the ground. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Not a beep. Directly kill. When the blade landed, the eyes of many sunk. A hint of fear appeared on his face. But even more people were sneering, because those who dared to make a move against the sky sect of Ling Clan had yet to live. Boom. An intense explosion resounded from the ruins as the dust was crushed down. An old man stood in mid-air, his eyes burning with anger, and said with a heavy voice, "You dog, you are tired of living. Today this old man will let you know the might of the God's tribe." In that instant, a divine light appeared on the old man's body. It was incomparably dazzling. The surrounding people instantly became excited. It's the pavilion master of the sky sect of Ling Clan. He's a powerhouse of the great complete realm. Kid, let's see how you can continue being so arrogant. Now you're going to die. Ha ha ha. He's courting death. Many of the people nearby began to loudly laugh at him. Long Fei raised his eyes slightly, looked at the pavilion master who was floating in mid-air, and coldly said, "There isn't even a light coming from the boss. I thought it was at least a boss. I'm so disappointed. Don't tell me there isn't even a boss in this plane." Long Fei was extremely disdainful. Looking at the divine light on the pavilion master's body, he said indifferently, "Don't waste your expression. No matter what you do, you will die." So what if he was a paragon? This kind of perfect stage powerhouses were useless to Long Fei. Even Zhenwu continent of the Zhenwu continent were instantly killed, so this plane was only slightly stronger than the Zhenwu continent. How strong was powerhouse of the great perfection stage? Humph. The pavilion master snorted and said, "The one who died was you." His voice sank. The pavilion master moved both of his palms, and the godly light from his palms came crashing down in an earth-shattering manner. The slovenly old man's eyes tensed up, he moved his body, and immediately stood in front of Long Fei, blocking his attack. Rumble. Rumble. The slopper-looking old man retreated with explosive speed. The pavilion master's body, which was suspended in midair, trembled slightly. His eyes were vicious as he stared at the slovenly old man and said, "Old demon Kanglan, are you sure you want to go against the gods' tribe? Do you know what the consequences are?" The slovenly old man smiled faintly. "Pavilion master, don't scare me like that. I am a person who isn't scared. I don't want to go against the gods' tribe. He is a disciple of my Kanglan college. As the principal, I have the duty and responsibility to protect him." And then, he said in a low voice, "Kid, quickly leave." Long Fei did not move. The pavilion master sneered, "Protect disciples? I think you are courting death. You know who he is. You should know what it means to have a warped space in the sky. I don't mind making it clear to you, he is someone that the gods' tribe wants to kill. If you dare protect him again, you will be going against the gods' tribe. Now scram to the side." The sloppy Daoist still had a calm smile on his face. "And if I don't leave? Then die." His hands under his robes suddenly moved. This time, the power of the divine light was even more powerful. He was already prepared to take action. The slovenly old man's face tightened, and he instantly charged forward. Long Fei said lightly, "You're too weak, it's better to rest at the side. A god's tribe dog like you. I can fight 10,000. He did not want to waste time, and did not want to waste time with the sky sect of Ling Clan Lord. His figure moved, and he directly jumped into the air. The idea moved, decaying power, absorb. Boop. Boom. A huge vortex of energy appeared on Long Fei's palm, and the moment the divine light power rushed towards him, it was instantly sucked into Long Fei's decaying power. Not only that, the pavilion master was also drawn over, had grabbed him by the neck, and used all the strength in his 2 fingers, catcher. The joints exploded. The aura of the pavilion master was being pulled out crazily as her body twitched uncontrollably. Ancient, power of ancient inheritance, ancient. Long Fei said indifferently, "Not bad, you still have some experience." The pavilion master said gloomily, "Brat, you won't be able to escape. Have you seen the distorted space that filled the sky? They are all powerhouses who have come from different planes. You can't escape, ha ha ha. The 10,000 world chasing order has been activated. As long as there are places with God's tribe powers, you will be endlessly hunted down. Ha ha ha." The pavilion master smiled. The corners of Long Fei's lips curled up slightly. 10,000 worlds kill order? You don't even know who is chasing who. It's useless to talk nonsense with you. Because you're a dead man now. As soon as he finished, Long Fei fiercely exploded the energy he had absorbed, and struck the pavilion master in the chest with his palm. His body turned into smithereens. Ding! The system sounded out. Since it wasn't even a boss, Long Fei couldn't be bothered to listen. Looking at the sky that was filled with spirals, the corners of his eyes slightly narrowed. The 10,000 worlds to kill? Hee hee. A bunch of dregs. Chapter 2704, Great Perfection. Chapter 2704, Great Perfection. He was just worrying about not being able to find a target to level up with. The pursuit of 10,000 worlds. An expert of 10,000 realms, powerhouse? I will kill as many as I can. Moreover, from the Zhenwu continent to the Kanglan continent, since experience points could be superimposed, then that meant, when he leveled up to perfection in Kanglan continent, his experience points would also stack up. Once inside the universal realm, he would immediately go all the way up to the sky. That was great. Thus, Long Fei looked up into the sky, the corners of his mouth slightly hooked up, and he said, I'm just afraid that you won't come. To be able to kill the presbyter of God's tribe, how strong was the power of his black and white fusion? So what if you're a powerhouse of 10,000 realms? So what if it was a divine Buddha? Whoever came would die. This person is crazy. This man is crazy. He's definitely crazy. The sky sect of Ling clan was the symbol of the God's tribe, but not only did Long Fei cut the sky sect of Ling clan into two, he even killed the pavilion master of the sky sect of Ling clan. This was a war with the God's tribe. If he wasn't crazy, then what was he? The slovenly old man also frowned. He immediately pulled Long Fei and said, "It's too late, you must leave immediately." The twisting spiral grew larger and larger in the sky, and it wouldn't be long before the powerhouse would rush out to kill him. He wouldn't be able to leave even if he wanted to. Long Fei did not move, and said, "No rush." The slovenly old man said, "My little ancestor, can you consider it me begging? Stop staying, if not, immortal Master Liu Yuan's efforts will be in vain. How am I supposed to explain this to him?" And the slovenly old man looked at Long Fei and said, "Think about your Zhenwu continent. The longer you stay here, the more danger this Kanglan continent will be. Let's go." It was very likely that the Kanglan continent would be like the Zhenwu continent. A destruction cannon directly wiped the continent out of the universal realm. God's tribe could do it easily. Long Fei frowned, thinking about what had happened in Zhenwu continent, his fists clenched tightly. He looked up at the sky. Just at this moment, the sky sect of Ling clan guards who had laid down an inescapable trap in the middle of the sky sect of Ling clan's ruins crawled up one after another, and they looked at Long Fei with the intent to escape. However, even God's tribe dogs have to die. Long Fei's figure moved. The aura on his body seemed to explode. Boom. One person fell to the ground. Ding. The system sounded out. Boom. Ding. Another person fell to the ground. At this moment, Long Fei was like a god of death, waving the scythe of death one by one, harvesting crazily. At the same time, the system beeps in his mind also sounded crazily. Ding. 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 Over 100 billion experience points quickly decreased as well. Every time a person was killed, the experience points would decrease by a lot because the amount of experience needed to level up would increase as well. The surrounding people all felt their scalps go numb when they saw this. The slovenly old man was also at a loss. If the pavilion master was already dead, what was the point of killing so many people? There was no need at all. At the same time, the slovenly old man felt the aura on Long Fei's body, and his heart trembled further. My aura is constantly getting stronger, and just now, I was still level 40. This speed. Who the hell is he? If it wasn't for immortal Master Liu Yuan, he wouldn't think highly of someone who didn't have talent or blood vein, and he also didn't understand why the immortal Master Liu Yuan would help him. Nothing special. Now he knew. The strength from Long Fei's body was something that he couldn't reach at his level. Boom. Boom. All of you must die. The sound of a blade slashing rang out. At this moment, Long Fei's level seemed to go berserk. The aura from his body, his level. It's constantly improving. What's going on? Level 1 man, level 1, can he achieve a breakthrough? Just who is he? So what if he is being pursued by the 10,000 worlds? Could it be that those twisted vortexes in the sky are all aimed at him? President, who is he? Seeing Long Fei's cultivation break through crazily, all of them were stunned. How could someone break through like that? Even a monstrous genius wouldn't be able to do such a thing. Not human at all. The slovenly old man looked at Long Fei and shook his head. I don't know either. Boom. 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 Wherever he went, he died. 100 sky sect of Ling clan's guards were instantly slaughtered. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing sky sect of Ling clan guard. Rewards, 100 experience points, 10 points of spirit energy. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, 120. The Great Perfection stage. 180 billion experience points had also been used up. No more upgrades. Long Fei stopped, clenching his fists tightly. He exhaled a breath of air. He felt the energy in his body and smiled. My cultivation has reached the maximum. One day. The feeling of leveling up is so F*King amazing. It's like I'm playing with my own F*King private property. Even a private servant didn't feel this way. Level 120 in one day. How valiant was this? The slovenly old man felt the chi on Long Fei's body, his eyes shook, and he swallowed hard. Your cultivation, your cultivation. Long Fei said indifferently, perfection. It was also at this time. Long Fei moved his idea, activating flying into the virtual. Ding. System notification. Do you wish to undergo tribulation and ascend? As expected. I can activate this power at the Great Perfection stage. No. Long Fei only tried it out, he did not plan to enter the universal realm right now. The reason he had reached the Great Perfection stage was to test himself, and he also had another goal. The Great Perfection stage was enough to completely unleash the power of the cultivation in the Kanglan continent. He could fly into the void. He could fight against the powerhouse of 10,000 realms in outer space. This was what Long Fei wanted to do the most. The slovenly old man said excitedly, that'll be even better. You'll be able to safely ascend into the skies and leave this place. Let's hurry up and begin. He looked at the sky and said, it's almost too late. Long Fei maintained his calm expression, and said, no rush. Now that I have the power of the flying into the virtual, I don't need you to sacrifice yourself. In addition, son of a god's tribe, chasing after me? I'll just wait and see who the F*King wants to kill. As soon as he finished. The aura of Long Fei's great complete realm moved, boom, his figure shuttled through the sky like a rocket, heading straight for the Kanglan continent's outer space. Rumble. 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 Also at this time, a man with a long sword on his back walked out from the spiral space. I am the first, and your life is mine now. Before he could finish. The aura of the man was like an oppressive pressure that crazily came crushing down. The flying sword on his back moved. A golden light flashed. The man shouted in a deep voice, flying sword taking life. Kid, obediently accept your death. Chapter 2705 Long Fei, This Big Boss. Chapter 2705 Long Fei, This Big Boss. The flying sword was like lightning as it pierced forward. It carried an incomparable amount of power and pressure. This power. From the looks of the Kanglan continent, it was as if a golden lightning bolt had streaked across the sky. Crap. The slovenly old man's eyes narrowed. Why didn't you listen to him? Kanglan continent is merely a lower plane. Can it be compared with those middle and higher plane powerhouse? Be it in terms of strength or pressure, they are not on the same level. Not a match. Different planes and different laws. There were different types of planes, and the corresponding power was the same. The higher the plane, the more powerful the warriors would be. Even the lowliest warriors would be more powerful than the lowliest powerhouse. Even if Long Fei had only just broken through to the Great Perfection stage, she was still only at the Great Perfection stage of the Kanglan continent. The slovenly old man was extremely frantic, but he knew that there was no use in being impatient. Long Fei was too young. He was young and arrogant. Facing the 10,000 world powerhouse, the first thing he should do was to avoid them and develop in a wretched way. After that, he would come out and do it. Too young. Sigh. Lord Immortal, I'll do my best. The slovenly old man shook his head and sighed. Many people from Kanglan continent looked up at the sky and sneered. He was overestimating himself. This was the result. The flying sword was like lightning, arriving in the blink of an eye. Long Fei stood proudly in the outer space as a boundless pressure pressed down from all directions, as if four super ferocious demon beasts were pinching his neck. It was very hard. Long Fei let out a small breath and asked, this is the outer space powerhouse? This is the powerhouse of a high plane? It's really different. Very Kanglan continent, the powerhouses on top of them were completely different. The aura emitted from their bodies alone was already exceptionally strong. However, as Long Fei looked at the flying sword, the corner of his mouth slightly curled as he coldly said, no matter how strong he is, he's still a god's tribe dog. If it's a god's tribe dog, then it has to die. Boom. With a flip of his left hand, the underworld fire appeared. Ding. Target locked. Fire. Long Fei yelled, as he released the underworld fire's power the moment he locked onto it. At the same time, he also charged forward. His right hand moved. Decaying power. Drink it. The underworld fire was burning. The man's eyes darkened. Ancient inheritance power. On your body. Underworld fire? Legacy of the Ming clan. No wonder the rewards for the Emperor Xian were so generous. You actually have the power of the ancient inheritance. Ha ha ha. This time, I've struck the jackpot. You've only cultivated the power of such a powerful Ming clan inheritance to its core. Giving it to you would be a waste. Kid, leave it to me. The man laughed excitedly. He looked even more ferocious. His appearance looked just like when Long Fei saw the boss. Indeed. To him, Long Fei was now a boss. A boss with a strange treasure on its body and a super boss shining brightly. How could he let it go? Long Fei frowned. The underworld fire could kill the Ocean King, but it did not deal much damage to the man. It could be seen that the Ocean King was just a small fry in the universal realm. Couldn't even be considered a powerhouse. Long Fei tensed up. The decaying power in his right hand was absorbing the flying sword, causing his palm to constantly hurt, as though it was going to be pierced by the flying sword. His body was also retreating. Another wave of ancient inheritance. Ha ha ha. 2 ancient inheritance. Rich. I'm rich. I'm really going to make a fortune today. The man was even more excited. His eyes shone brightly, looking at Long Fei as though he wanted to swallow him up. Saliva dripped from the corner of his mouth. It had the exact same expression as when Long Fei saw the boss. Long Fei's heart trembled. Damn, I've become a boss. It's mine. It's all mine. The man's eyes darkened, he turned and surged in power, rushing towards Long Fei like a layer of sky above the Kanglan continent, ferocious to the point of chaos. TL However, at this moment, another spiral of space exploded as a powerhouse flew out. Boom. A single chi overturned the power released by the flying sword man. Rumble. Heh. An old man with silver hair walked out while stroking his body. He looked at Long Fei, who was not far away, with a sinister smile on his lips, and said, "Those who see will get a share. Who said it's yours?" The flying sword man's eyes darkened. "You want to steal my business? Old ghost, do you know who I am? Who is my master?" "Little kid, don't be so rude. Your master won't be able to save you when the time comes." The sinister old man's lips quirked into a cold sneer. Moreover, as he spoke, his gaze was fixated on Long Fei. His eyes flashed with excitement. Just like the man with the flying sword, his eyes were sparkling. In his eyes, Long Fei had also become a big boss. The flying sword man shouted, "Old ghost, everyone needs to be cautious about first come first serve. If I found him first, then his life is mine. However, this is the world of Powerhouse, where big fishes eat small fishes. Now that I have come, there is nothing left for you to do, otherwise I would have eaten this small shrimp of yours as well." The flying sword man was a small shrimp. What is Long Fei? Seaweed. A plankton. The flying sword man's expression became gloomy. At this moment, another spiral of space exploded. Ha ha ha. A big fish eating small fish is not bad, but what about my whale? All of you get out of the way. His mine. Rumble. A loud explosion resounded. Another powerhouse broke through the void. His eyes stared straight at Long Fei. 2 sets of ancient inheritance's power, plus this reward of 1 ancient inheritance. Ha ha ha. It's all mine. The old man's eyes darkened when he saw this. Obviously, this man was stronger than him. However, the third man had not finished fighting when another loud sound came from the sky and an old woman slowly walked out. Her face was gloomy and her eyes shone with a bright light as she stared at Long Fei and said, "The whale is indeed powerful, but it is not as powerful as my poisonous widow, so all of you, get out of the way. This little child is mine now, He's eating it right now to mend my yin palace. TSK, TSK. Boom. 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 The twisted spiral spaces in the sky exploded one after another. They were all powerhouse from different planes, and they were all extremely powerful. These were all powerhouse from the higher planes. The 10,000 worlds chasing order. Although there weren't 10,000 powerhouse, there were at least 100 of them. They were all powerhouse. It was the same boss. All of them stared at Long Fei like tigers stalking their prey, drooling at the corners of their mouths. The same. Long Fei was the same, drooling. Advertisement. Advertisement in their eyes. Long Fei was a boss that they were drooling over. In Long Fei's eyes, these people were all super bosses. Who killed who? Who dares to do it? Out of 100 outer space powerhouses, their strength could be said to be able to completely crush Long Fei. For this, they were arguing fiercely. His mine. I came first, I found him first, his mine. The old Wang next door to my wife's house is an outer disciple of God's tribe. Whoever dares to argue with me, be careful that I won't be polite with him. I bid 10 million grand mist crystals. F***ck. I bid 100 million. Give me, Wang Dazhi, some face. Give him to me. Who the fuck are you? I was hanging myself for a long time. Stop talking, I'm a member of the Murder's Palace, he's the target of our assassination mission. Whoever dares to go against our sect, be careful, I might send all of their members onto the killing list. Who the hell is the Palace of Destiny? Scram. The argument was untenable. No one wanted to miss this opportunity to soar into the sky. It was not only the Emperor Xian's rewards. Just the 2 ancient inheritance on Long Fei's body were enough to make them go crazy. Who could obtain it? It had to be known that the current ancient inheritance was basically controlled by the God's tribe. Whoever could obtain one would rise to the sky in a single step. Possessing an extremely powerful status and power in the universal realm, and even being able to directly become a presbyter of God's tribe. This was an opportunity that could not be missed by anyone. While everyone was arguing, Long Fei was a little free. No one present took him seriously. It was as if he was a fish on the chopping block and could be slaughtered immediately. This made Long Fei a little unhappy. However, he was not idle at all. Seeing the last powerhouse walk out from within the spiral space, the corner of Long Fei's lips curled up as he said with a gentle smile, "You're more or less done, right?" The audience fell silent. They all looked at Long Fei. Long Fei said, "It's been so long, it's so noisy. Kid, are you getting impatient? We gave you a few more seconds to live. You think you can escape? For trash like you from the lower planes, it would be a waste for you to have the power of 2 ancient inheritances. Hand it over obediently." Many people were displeased. They started arguing again. Long Fei said, "Hey." And then, Long Fei said loudly, "Quiet, everyone quiet down for a moment, listen to me." The scene was silent again. "What are you going to say? You have no right to speak here. You bastard, just wait for your death. Everyone, let's see what he has to say. Let's see what this trash can say." 100 powerhouses looked at Long Fei. Long Fei's mouth hooked up, revealing a disdainful cold smile, and said arrogantly, "Forgive my bluntness, but everyone here is trash." The 10,000 world chasing order? Ha. I will turn you guys upside down. With that, the entire hall fell silent, so quiet that it made people panic. At this moment, the eyes of the man who arrived first darkened. The flying sword on his back abruptly unfurled and changed to 18. Shua, shua, shua. 18 rays of light turned into 18 streaks of lightning, shooting in all directions. The entire sky seemed to be split open. Space itself shattered. Endless amounts of power crazily rushed at Long Fei. It was completely different from the power of the previous flying sword. This power. It was abnormally fierce and powerful. The flying sword man also said with disdain, "Trash, are you the only one who dares to be so arrogant in front of us? You don't even have the right, do you?" The sky above Kanglan continent seemed to have been cut open. A golden net appeared. The eyes of the people on the Kanglan continent all darkened. He's finished. He's dead for sure. At the peak of the blue mist, the leopard girl looked at the sky. Her gaze didn't have much of a ripple, only a bitter smile. She looked into the sky and muttered, "Hubby, it seems like I won't be able to see you again. I missed you so much. Have you reached Universal Realm yet? Did you find Big Sister Liu Luoshi and the others? Have you found Qianqian? Have you found Sister Jojo? I missed you guys so much." The leopard girl smiled bitterly. From the gods' martial continent to here, it had been 100 years, and there was nothing she could do. Her talent was not high. There were no special blood vein that she could break through, and on this continent, she was unable to do so. Even the Kanglan College was not able to pass the examination no matter what, and could only look up at the sky from head to toe. She wanted to stand a little higher each time, because to her, this meant that she was a little closer to Long Fei. She waited at the peak of the blue mist. She hadn't reported any hope to begin with, but now that she looked at the cracked sky, the sliver of hope in her heart immediately disappeared. As she spoke, tears welled up in the leopard girl's eyes. He cried. She did not know who the Long Fei in the outer space of Kanglan continent was. If he knew. It's over, it's all over. There's nothing we can do now. Sigh. Kid, why didn't you listen to me? The slovenly old man said in heartache. Long Fei had angered the masses. Let alone the 100 outer space powerhouses, he couldn't even take them all alone. Looking at the 18 flying swords that turned into interweaving lightning bolts and smashed towards Long Fei, the 100 powerhouses sneered, all of them carrying expressions of contempt. Humph. You overestimate yourself. Who do you think you are? So just because you have 2 ancient inheritances worth of power, you can go to the heavens? Do you even know what kind of low cultivation you are? It's simply impossible to cultivate the power of the ancient inheritance to an even higher realm in the lower planes. Only the universal realm that is closest to the ancient world is the best plane to cultivate in. Give him a lesson, let's see if he still dares to be arrogant. They all looked at Long Fei with contempt. To them, Long Fei was too weak. It was nothing more than a pile of dregs from the lower planes. From the beginning to end, they did not put Long Fei in their eyes, as anyone could take care of him. However, they seemed to not know what happened to the Zhenwu realm. They did not know that the golden armor bodyguard was killed by Long Fei, and they did not know that the presbyter of God's tribe was sucked into a dried-up corpse by Long Fei. If he knew about this. Just as the 18 flying swords descended like lightning, Long Fei's eyes became gloomy. The dragon-shaped mark under his right arm slightly moved. The draconic scales exploded one by one. At this moment, the voice from the dragon-shaped mark's space sounded out, "Think about it carefully, your body won't be able to withstand this power. If this power exceeds the limit, your body will probably explode." Long Fei said, "Don't talk to me like that, let's just do it. Why are you so cowardly? Aren't you very arrogant?" The voice of the dragon-shaped mark immediately became angry. "I submit. F***CK. I'll let you know how crazy I am. Black and white power, open. Rumble." In that instant, Long Fei's body began to change. Chapter 2707, Whose Instant Kill? Chapter 2707, Whose Instant Kill? What was black and white? Darkness. Light is white. The power beneath the dragon-shaped mark was released, and the most primitive power, which was also the power that slowly evolved from the most primitive black and white when the world first opened up, slowly opened up from Long Fei's body. Before, it was only a power that he had released, but Long Fei had not clearly felt it before. When the power was released from his body, he could truly sense what the black and white power was. Buzz. Boom. When he released his power, the axis of Long Fei's body suddenly turned pitch black. Eyes, skin, and even the blood-colored dragon scales on his right arm caused his clothes to turn black in an instant, as if it was the void of darkness. Standing on the outer space, it was as if Long Fei's body had disappeared in half. In that instant, boom, another tremor ran through his body. Next, the other half around him became pure white. Hair, eyes, body on the left. Pure white. Just like how Xuan Bai's white light shone on his body, one side was black, while the other side was white. This scene was like a confrontation between darkness and light. The aura of power was very calm, without the slightest ripple, but however, Long Fei's body was like a thunderclap roaring, and the enormous wave rolled about 30,000 meters away. He couldn't control it. His body was unceasingly being attacked. The moment the power of black and white was released, the system sounded out a prompt. Ding. System notification. Your strength is too great. Players' bodies can only last 1 minute and 30 seconds. Ding. System notification. Your strength is too great. Players' bodies can only last 1 minute and 30 seconds. Ding. System notification. Your strength is too great. Players' bodies can only last 1 minute and 30 seconds. The system alarm sounded 3 times in a row. After the notification sound ended, a countdown appeared in Long Fei's mind. 1 minute and 30 seconds. 90 seconds. His current physical body could be said to be extremely strong. With his blood scales, his physical body could withstand the Golden Armor bodyguard's attack, but he could only endure this power for 90 seconds. Then how strong was this power? Long Fei muttered, "What happens after time passes?" The system did not reply. The power from the dragon-shaped mark replied, "Flesh into powder." Huff. Long Fei let out a small breath. 90 seconds. There are 100 outer space powerhouses here. That's about 1 per second. Heh. I like it. And also at this moment, the 18 great flying swords lightning intertwined sword chi net came crashing down ruthlessly, about to land on top of Long Fei's head. Extremely fierce. The flying sword man coldly snorted and said, "Trash, die. Begin." Ding. Countdown begins. The system sounded out. In that moment, Long Fei also moved. Not a second. Shua. His figure disappeared. Boom. Instantly piercing through the flying sword lightning web, he instantly appeared in front of the flying sword man and grabbed his arm. Long Fei laughed sinisterly. Who is the trash now? The flying sword man's pupils began to tremble. Not waiting for him to speak. Crack, and also at this moment, the black and white power on Long Fei's body directly rushed into his flesh. Ah! Save me! Save me! His soul was screaming. The primordial spirit howled. A white light could be seen floating around his body. Moreover, in that instant, he was crushed into an integral by a surge of energy. Souls were destroyed together with origin souls. Instant kill. It was a complete instant kill. You really don't even have the chance to become a ghost. The 100 surrounding outer space powerhouses were all dumbstruck. Zhong Xian was dumbfounded. What kind of power is this? Could it be that this kid has other inheritances in his body? What is it? Heavens, he can even kill a soul or primordial spirit. What kind of evil art does this kid cultivate? Humph. Trash, let me see just how many trash you have in the lower realms. Just as he said the word trash, Long Fei's black and white body suddenly appeared in front of him, and once again, with a flick of his right hand, it pierced straight through his chest. Long Fei's arm was like a spirit body. The powerhouse did not react at all. Looking at his own chest, his eyes revealed a sinister look, his palm directly striking towards Long Fei's forehead. Die. Shua. His body was covered densely in black meridian patterns, as if he had been poisoned. This black meridian also instantly drew out all the energy from his body. Boom. In half a second, the powerhouse turned into charcoal. It was like being burned by a high temperature. Long Fei lightly pulled with his right hand. Crack. Rumble. His entire body was shattered into black powder and disappeared into the void. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing an alien expert, for obtaining 1 million experience points and 100000 spiritual value. F***CK. Nothing exploded. System, aren't you giving me too much face? It's a boss after all. Long Fei disdained in his heart. He then lifted his eyes, swept them across the room and sinisterly said, "Nex. How preposterous. Such arrogance. Let me see how capable you are." Bone Endless Ghost Claw. The ghastly old granny's claws locked onto Long Fei, and the tens of thousands of white bone ghost claw appeared in the air, grabbing towards Long Fei in a split second. Long Fei did not move. Xuanar Bai's eyes lit up slightly. His body was like Buddhist light. Buzz. Exploding forth. The tens of thousands of ghost claws in the sky instantly turned into nothingness. Long Fei's lips curved up. Do you think you can get this daddy to heal your body? Explode for me. Boom. He took a step forward, and with a single move, he killed them all. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing outer space powerhouse. Congratulations player Long Fei for obtaining 1 million experience points, and spiritual value of 1 million. It was a system beep. Still nothing dropped. Long Fei was puzzled. Big brother system, it's a boss after all, why don't you just drop something? Even if you don't talk about holy artifact, why not something like that? These outer space powerhouse may not be much in universal realm, but this is Kanglan continent. They were considered a super boss. Not a single thing. Suddenly, Long Fei thought of a very serious problem. Damn, it's not that we don't want to blow things away, but my power directly turned everything on their bodies into ashes. F***ck. It's not good to have too much strength, right? Sigh. Being too handsome is also a crime. Long Fei looked at the dazed people around him, smirked, and said with a disdainful smile, "Isn't that the 10,000 worlds chasing order? Aren't you chasing after me? Come on. Not coming. Not coming. Then Lousy is here." Chapter 2708 All Must Die. Chapter 2708 All Must Die. Time is limited, no time to beep. Otherwise, Long Fei would still want to act tough. Moreover, when the time came, the consequences. Not a joke. He didn't want to die with his fleshly body destroyed. If he really died, then there would be nothing left. From the Zhenwu continent to the Kanglan continent, he had brought 180 billion experience points and reached the Great Perfection stage in a single day. Once he ascended, he would be able to bring along 10 billion experience into the universal realm. Even if he couldn't level up to 120 levels in a day, 10 billion experience points could at least level up dozens of levels, right? Thus, he had to die. The 10,000 worlds chasing order. The 10,000 worlds death writ was about the same. The aura on Long Fei's body faintly loosened. Rumble. Rumble. Chase down your father. God's tribe. Emperor Xian. Today, I will let you know the consequences of chasing after me. Wang. Long Fei's figure disappeared. In that instant, the 100 outer space powerhouses panicked, but they were all people who had experienced great storms, and with their powerful cultivation, they were shocked by the black and white power that suddenly erupted from Long Fei's body, and quickly adjusted themselves. We're allied. Let's deal with him together. This kid definitely has other powers of the ancient inheritance, stronger. Otherwise, why would the God's tribe issue the strongest killing order? Is the God's tribe hiding something? This boy is a martial artist from a lower realm. It is impossible for him to be so powerful. Let's not talk about that yet. Hurry up, the powerhouse of God's tribe is about to arrive. When they arrive, there will be no more for us. Boom, boom, boom. One after another, powerful auras burst forth. 100 powerhouse instantly formed an alliance, and in that instant, they revealed their weapons. Ideas senses. Highly alert. I can't sense any aura, it's as if he disappeared. Did he escape? Don't relax, he must be here. Silence. It was dead silent, without even a trace of Long Fei's aura in the surroundings. It was as if they had escaped. But even if they fled millions of kilometers, even the entire Kanglan continent would not be able to escape the senses of their 100 powerhouses. A few seconds passed. Long Fei still had not appeared. However, there was a white mist. Why is there a fog? Mist. What's going on? There's black fog here. One black and one white, everyone be careful. Without waiting for him to finish. Crack. Ah. Ding. One person turned to ash, instantly killed. The system sounded out. Boom. In the fog, another person let out a blood-curdling scream. Another insta-kill. The system beep sounded again. Too fast. Moreover, they couldn't even see a shadow of Long Fei, he was just like a ghost. The Black-White World. The Jedi Domain. In this domain, he was the king, he was the god. Boom. 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 In 20 seconds, over 30 outer space powerhouses were instantly killed, and the remaining tens of people quickly shrank back, all leaning against each other, not daring to disperse. Brat, come out if you dare. You dog, what is a sneak attack? Come out, I'll order with you. Without waiting for him to finish. Crack. His head was cut off by a ray of light the color of Xuanarbai's hair, and his body turned into ashes. In that instant, the surrounding people had also locked onto Long Fei, and the 6 of them attacked together. Let's see how long you can stay alive this time. Boom. Rumble. The 6 most powerful forces. He exploded with full power. Long Fei's body sank, the corner of his mouth slightly lifted, and said, "This is my world, your strength is like an ant." Ha ha ha. The 6 waves of power struck his body, but Long Fei remained motionless. No damage at all. Ah, ha, ha. Tremble in my world. Long Fei's body was hidden within the dark mist. The instant his figure disappeared, the vital energy and blood below his chest started to boil, and a mouthful of fresh blood sprayed out. He couldn't hold it in. Hoo 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 hoo. Hoo 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 hoo. Panting heavily, Long Fei looked at his own chest. There were 6 cuts and 6 deep handprints on his chest. Some of the handprints had already turned black, and were in extreme pain. Why is this happening? Long Fei did not understand. One had to know that no matter how weak his physical body was, it shouldn't have ended up like this. The power from the dragon-shaped mark said, "Black and white body, all of the power in your body will be used to sustain you for 90 seconds. Your body will not have any form of defense, not even a bit. Any attack, even if it's a mosquito bite, will cause you a great deal of damage. And I have to remind you, you don't have much time left. No defense at all." Long Fei's current physical toughness was still very low. After activating the black and white power, he had to use all of his power to support the opening of the black and white power. Because of this, his defense was basically 0. Long Fei looked at the time, and saw that there were only 30 seconds left. Zhong Xian frowned. A light breath. At this time, the power from the dragon-shaped mark said, "Other than these, there is another thing. Even though your body can endure for 90 seconds, but even if you were to retract all of this power 90 seconds ago, your body would still be heavily injured, even if it were to not be turned into dust. Opening the black and white power is the price that your body cannot bear." Long Fei had already thought of this long ago. As long as he could become strong, as long as he could obtain stronger power, as long as he could defeat all these outer space powerhouse, he had nothing to fear. Long Fei nodded, and said, "Understood. Now I want to kill to my heart's content." He focused his mind. Long Fei's black and white eyes were filled with killing intent, as he said in a low voice, "Waraha. Tremble for me." In that instant, Long Fei's figure turned into a ghost. The remaining powerhouse were all trembling in their hearts. The attack just now did not cause any damage to Long Fei, which made them even more afraid. Adding the dead into the mix, they began to feel the urge to retreat. Whoosh. One powerhouse was very powerful, he wanted to escape through the void. However, not waiting for him to escape. Boom. A powerful force crushed down, instantly killing him. "All of you must die. None of you will escape. All of you must die." Long Fei's voice was like a death sentence. It crushed everyone's minds. "Master, it's all because of the orders given by the God's tribe, we had no choice but to do so. We never thought of killing you. Lord, please be merciful and spare our lives. We swear that we won't dare to do it again. Please spare my life." He was scared. He was terrified. In this black and white fog, it was like they were in hell. Heh. Spare your lives. Is it absolutely possible for you all? Black and white chaos. Domain fission, die for me. The black and white veins on Long Fei's forehead bulged, and all of the energy in his body exploded outwards. In the blink of an eye, there were only a few seconds left. However, within the domain, there was a muffled sound. Chapter 2709, Counterattack, Flying Leopard. Chapter 2709, Counterattack, Flying Leopard. Buzz. A muffled sound rang out. Fission. The domain within the black and white fog continued to shrink. It was as though an inexhaustible power was crazily ravaging the world. It fiercely squeezed everything within the domain into a tiny grain of sand before exploding into the alternate world. Disappeared. It was also at this time. Space began to crack and shatter. Like a bolt of lightning, the sky exploded. Boom, boom, boom. A mad explosion resounded. The sonic boom of a spatial tear. At this moment, the system's notification sound also exploded in Long Fei's mind. Ding, ding, ding. It was as if a firecracker had been set off. It could not stop at all. It exploded in an instant. The only displeasing thing was that other than experience points, there was nothing else. No one else's *T exploded out. This strength was too ferocious, so much so that all of them were turned into ashes. Long Fei's heart was also incomparably brazen. Black and white power, what kind of power is it? What other power is the dragon-shaped mark hiding? The heck? He's too strong. Just like that, 100 powerhouse from another realm was smashed into pieces. Whoever was killed in an instant. If Long Fei wasn't in Kanglan continent now, if he really wanted to fight with Emperor Xian, he felt that he could blast Emperor Xian into pieces. The black and white power made him feel an unprecedented power. Ultimate Quest, 7 means map, a beautiful woman is equivalent to a Dao mission opening. In other words, there are 7 hidden strengths under the dragon-shaped mark. If I can release all 7 of these powers. My God. Is the Emperor Xian considered a bird? Universal realm, what does ancient world count as? This old man will do it all at once. Long Fei felt more and more that the dragon-shaped mark under his right arm was concealing an even stronger power than the entire universal realm. Now, Long Fei only knew that this power was the Nantian Monument, the repression of boundary stones. Other than that, he really did not know if any other force could contend against it. The first force was given by Yi Yorong. The second path. Long Fei's mind tensed up. Leopard girl. Right. Also at this moment, the countdown inside Long Fei's body came to an end. Ding. System notification. Black and white power time is over. Boom. Without waiting for Long Fei to retrieve it himself, the black and white power was instantly extracted and he returned to the dragon-shaped Mark S. The powerful voice shouted, "You have to resist." As soon as he finished. In that moment, Long Fei felt as if his soul was going to rush out of his body. It was like 1,000 AK-47 shots aimed at his body. Ah! Ah! Bam! 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 All the blood vessels in his body continuously ruptured, and in half a second, Long Fei's entire body became a bloody person, with fresh blood dripping all over his hair. Ah! High in the sky. Long Fei simply could not control it at all, and was in so much pain that he could not control it, not to mention controlling it. His body continued to spin as he fell from the air. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, asterisk whoosh whoosh whoosh, asterisk whoosh whoosh whoosh, asterisk bleed all over. An indescribable discomfort. That powerful voice was heavy as he said, "You have to endure it. You have to endure it, or else. Otherwise. He did not continue. If he couldn't withstand it, if his fleshly body died, everything will start again. However, at that time, it would not be Long Fei anymore, because if he were to die with his flesh body, it would mean that he had failed the mission, which meant that he was not suitable for the mission. He couldn't save what the system's owner wanted to save. The system would not appear out of nowhere and innocently. Similarly, it did not exist as a bug, but a quest. Everything that Long Fei had experienced seemed like he was walking with his life on the line, but however, basically, all of them would only leave after following the instructions set by the system. Death here. Then he would fail. They would be killed. Possession does not exist. The reason why Black and White did not say anything was that he had failed before. He was well aware of the consequences. Long Fei was unable to reply. Falling tens of thousands of meters from the ground, he was already in so much pain that he had fainted. Kanglan Continent. The spirals in the sky all disappeared. Many people could not see what happened 10 kilometers up in the sky, but the peak Kanglan Continent could see it. It was too terrifying. In front of these outer space powerhouses, they were like a speck of dust. And those outer space powerhouses were like ants in front of Long Fei. It was too valiant. Seeing Long Fei falling from the sky, the slovenly old man's incomparably shocked expression changed. Damn it. He rushed up into the sky, thinking to himself, "Brat, don't let anything happen to you. If you die, I really won't be able to explain it to immortal Master Liu Yuan. Don't die. Please don't die." Rumble. In mid-air. The slovenly old man received Long Fei, looked at Long Fei who seemed to have been scooped out of a pool of blood, and tightly furrowed his brows. Didn't he win? Nothing in his body was good. Every pore, every millimeter of the body is a wound. Nor did Ling Kai. This kind of injury would cause one to tremble in fear and feel incomparable pain at the sight of it. Hoo. Bring me to the peak of the Azure Dragon. Long Fei's aura was incredibly weak. However, he was still thinking about the leopard girl. During the course of the day, a wild figure would always appear in Long Fei's mind, shuttling through the forest. His body was wrapped in leopard skin, and he had a long ponytail. The javelin was in his hand. Simple. I like to laugh. Furthermore, in that scene, she kept calling out to her husband. Who is she? But Long Fei didn't know. He firmly believed that this must have something to do with his previous life. He let the leopard girl wait at the peak of the blue mist. He promised to take her out of the Kanglan continent and let her enter the universal realm. The slovenly old man added, Yes. I'll go to the peak of the blue mist now and release the power of the flying into the virtual. Kid. You can't die. I will definitely send you to the universal realm. Long Fei did not speak. He didn't have the strength to speak. A few minutes later. Boom. The slovenly old man brought Long Fei and landed on the peak of the blue mist. The leopard girl also ran up. Long Fei revealed his blood-stained teeth and gently smiled. I said I would bring you away from here. The leopard girl was moved. She gently shook her head as tears welled up in the corners of her eyes. The slovenly old man continued, Prepare yourself. I want to draw upon the power of the flying into the virtual. There's only one chance. The slovenly old man said seriously. Long Fei smiled lightly as he looked at the leopard girl. Did you hear that clearly? The slovenly old man continued, I can only send you to the universal realm, and not the two of you. Long Fei said strenuously, I know. Besides, I won't let you sacrifice yourself to help me. I use my own strength. As soon as he finished, Long Fei suddenly stood up. The idea moved, activate the power of the flying into the virtual. Thank you for your support. Chapter 2710 Heavenly Tribulation Bombs. Chapter 2710 Heavenly Tribulation Bombs. Long Fei would definitely do what he had promised. Who was the leopard girl? What did it have to do with him? Was she one of the beauty's quests in the super mission, the 7 Meridians diagram? I don't know. All of this was unknown to Long Fei. However, he had to do all this for the leopard girl because he didn't want to make her sad. From her eyes, Long Fei could feel that no matter what he did, he wouldn't be able to replace the position that the man from the universal realm had in her heart. Irreplaceable. He had to do it. As long as he was happy. Following the release of her idea, the aura of power from Long Fei's body directly surged into the sky. The slovenly old man's eyes sank. Kid, have you gone mad? Your body is unable to withstand it at all right now. You will die. Stop right now, stop quickly. He never thought that Long Fei would actually use his own flying into the virtual. His body was simply unable to withstand the baptism of heavenly tribulation. Once he couldn't take it anymore, he would die and vanish into thin air. The baptism of heavenly tribulation, wash away the lead on the Kanglan plain, wash away the restraints of law, and use a new body to enter a new world. However, the baptism of heavenly tribulation was extremely powerful. If it were simple, then no one at the great complete realm would dare to stir up heavenly tribulation. Furthermore, Long Fei was currently seriously injured and was almost on the verge of death. This kind of body state was completely unable to withstand the baptism of heavenly tribulation. The leopard girl said anxiously, "If you stop, you will die." The tears in the corner of his eyes were uncontrollable. Long Fei smiled lightly, and said, "Don't worry, I will definitely accomplish what I promised you." Long Fei was really afraid. It was not because he was afraid of the heavenly tribulation turning him into ashes. He was afraid of the tears of the leopard girl, and also afraid of the pain of the backlash from the black and white power. If that was the case, then there was nothing he could do. He wanted to do what he had promised as much as possible. Rumble. 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 The clouds above the ninth heaven started to move, and the clouds started to move as lightning started to wreak havoc, constantly flashing, causing the entire Kanglan continent to shake. Someone is transcending tribulation. Someone is triggering the celestial tribulation. Who is it? Is it the president of the Kanglan College? It's at the peak of the blue mist. Who exactly is it? This heavenly tribulation. It seems to be extraordinary, as if even the 9-story heaven have been stirred. Countless people from the Kanglan city flew in the air, staring at the summit of blue mist. Countless people were shocked. How many years had it been since someone triggered the heavenly tribulation? The only thing he was afraid of was being smashed into smithereens by the heavenly tribulation. There was nothing at all. The powerhouse of the Great Perfection stage were willing to exhaust their lifespan rather than be burnt to ashes by the divine tribulation. Seeing the roiling clouds above Kanglan continent, many powerhouses clenched their fists tightly, their eyes locked. Rumble. An explosion sounded in the air. At the peak of the blue mist, violent winds raged. Long Fei's disheveled hair flew recklessly across the air, and a powerful force came crushing down from above her mind. Looking at the rolling sky, Long Fei heavily shouted, "Come!" Rumble. Crack. The rolling clouds produced another sky-piercing explosion, and the lightning was like a huge python. The slovenly old man stared at the scene before him, his heart trembling. His pupils contracted, and fear began to rise in his heart. This was heavenly tribulation? Gudong. He heavily swallowed his saliva. He had never seen a celestial tribulation before. I don't even know what kind of power it is. But now, it seemed, the celestial tribulation was simply too powerful. Formidable strength. The slovenly old man said heavily, "Quick, quick, retreat. You won't be able to take it. Faster." The leopard girl also advised, "Can you stop? I'm not going to the universal realm, I'm not going. I'll stay here." Long Fei grinned and laughed softly, saying, "I promised you, I will definitely do it. Also, I can't stop." Heh. How could the activation of heavenly tribulation come to a halt? Long Fei shifted his gaze to the slovenly old man and said, "A person undergoing a tribulation should be fearless. There should not be a trace of fear in your heart, and any trace of fear will cause your mind to collapse. Bring it on." With a roar, Long Fei, who was seated cross-legged, suddenly stood up, one finger pointing to the sky, his index finger moved, the corner of his mouth slightly hooked up, forming a very handsome posture. Long Fei said solemnly, "If you have the guts, go ahead and hack this daddy to death." Hualala. A series of sounds of space shattering exploded. The entire sky seemed to be splitting apart. At the center of the vortex, a ray of Xuan'er-Bai's light shot towards the top of Long Fei's head like a bolt of lightning. It was extremely huge, and practically covered the entire Kanglan city. Too powerful. Was he undergoing a tribulation? This was killing. The light in the sky was blinding. The powerhouse floating in the air was instantly crushed and fell down. The entire Kanglan city was in a state of panic as countless people covered their heads and scurried away. They were frantically fleeing for their lives. "Quickly run. The heavenly tribulation is coming. Run." I won't be able to protect the Kanglan city anymore. Oh my God, this is heavenly tribulation. This is the legendary god's suffering force. This is the power of destruction. Fighters ran, children cried, women screamed. Kanglan city was thrown into chaos. The power of the heavenly tribulation was too strong. With such a strike, the entire Kanglan city would probably be reduced to ruins. Long Fei's gaze tensed up, his body continuously sunk, his knees trembling uncontrollably. At this moment, in the instant the first heavenly tribulation descended, it was as though a heavy sky had pressed down on his shoulders, heavily crushing him as if wanting to crush him to his knees. The weight of 100,000 mountains. The weight of 1,000,000 mountains. Tens of thousands of mountains. Long Fei's body had countless of wounds on it, and just like that, the pain caused the wound to burst open even more. Fresh blood violently spurted out again, and with his knees slightly bent, Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he cursed loudly, "You want me to kneel? You're not even F*** King qualified." The moment he exerted strength, a root took root beneath his feet. In an instant, Long Fei firmly stabbed into the ground. At this moment, the sky seemed to be enraged. The first heavenly tribulation heavily attacked. Xuan'Arbai's light aura instantly enveloped Long Fei, or more accurately speaking, it should be covering half of the Kanglan continent. Everything was within the dazzling light. Everything was white. As for Long Fei, who was at the center of the heavenly tribulation, at this moment, his physical body, his mind, his sea of consciousness, everything within his body was violently surging. Long Fei's eyes suddenly bulged. He clenched his fists tightly. Crack. The sound of joints bursting exploded. At the same time, he tightly clenched his teeth, as if he was about to shatter them. Ah, ah, ah. Endless power exploded in his body. They exploded. The scene was like 100 cannon bombardment. His entire body felt unspeakably uncomfortable. In just a few seconds, it felt as if several centuries had passed. Long Fei roared. He roared with all his might. Buzz. The moment the white light returned, Long Fei's body sank and both of his hands directly pressed against the ground. Blood continuously gushed out of his throat, its 2F***King unbearable. Chapter 2711, Dragon Scale Splitting. Chapter 2711, Dragon Scale Splitting. Rumble. 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 The white light slowly returned to the 9 heavens, and the sound of explosions slowly spread in the sky. The white light disappeared. Everything in Kanglan City was normal, there wasn't the slightest bit of damage. I'm still alive. Ha ha ha. I'm not dead, I'm still alive, I'm not dead. Woo. Woo woo. Asterisk, I thought I was going to die. I'm still alive. Many people hugged their heads as they cried out in grief. There were also many people cheering, celebrating that they were still alive. In front of the power of heavenly tribulation, they appeared so small and insignificant, their fates in the hands of others. No one was affected by the white light, except for the tribesmen. Hoo 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 hoo. Hoo 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 hoo. Long Fei gasped so much that blood seemed to spurt out from his wounds, his face was pale white. Both of his hands supported himself on the ground, continuously dripping blood from the corner of his mouth. The internal organs beneath his chest were still rolling. Within the sea of consciousness, the power within the mind was still surging, unable to take care of itself. You. Are you all right? Seeing Long Fei's pained expression, she clenched her fists tightly, her nails digging into her flesh and blood dripping down. She hated herself. He hated himself for being weak. It was useless to hate him. Even though he was unable to help Long Fei in his previous life, he was still a burden to others in his current life. Even in this reincarnated life, her talent was still the same. Long Fei smiled lightly, shook his head, and said, "It's fine, just this kind of heavenly tribulation isn't enough to kill Laozi." He would never tell anyone about his pain. If he was a man, he had to endure it. The slovenly old man said anxiously, "This is just the first heavenly tribulation, and is a testing God's suffering force. The following speed will be very fast and won't give you any time to breathe. You can't continue." The slovenly old man did not know what to do, he did not know how to help Long Fei. The fearlessness. The way he treated the heavenly tribulation like trash made him admire it to the extreme. No one could do that. Long Fei replied, "Don't worry, I'll be fine." The leopard girl shook her head. "I'm not going to the universal realm, I'm not going. I'm begging you, can you stop? I'm not going, please." Her tears never stopped. Long Fei looked at her, at the mission exclamation mark floating above her head. It still had not been activated. Long Fei thought, seems like it really is so. There is a person in her heart that I am destined to never be able to replace. Zhong Xian smiled bitterly in his heart. However, Long Fei did not let go as he gently wiped away the tears on the leopard girl's face and said, "Don't worry, I will be fine. I will send you to Universal Realm. You are a leopard girl. You are a wild panther. How can you cry? After this, you can't cry anymore," Long Fei said indifferently. The leopard girl bit her tongue. She wanted to cry, but when she saw Long Fei's expression, she forced herself to stop. Suddenly, she discovered that the man's eyes were very familiar, as if he was the person she was looking for in her heart. That's more like it. Long Fei looked at the leopard girl while holding back her tears. He turned and stood up, and heavily said, "Come, use all of your strength on this daddy." Rumble. 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 The sky began to rage again, not giving the leopard girl a chance to think. Above 9 days. The center of the rolling clouds was like a divine eye. Divine light lingered and white light flashed. Then, the rolling clouds began to crack. Catcher, catcher. Rumble. Yet another massive bolt of lightning descended. The corners of Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he pointed to the sky and shouted, "Come!" Boom. The second god's suffering force bombarded down. The leopard girl was sent flying by a powerful shockwave. The slovenly old man was also sent flying by that powerful force. White light enveloped him. The lightning from the 9th heaven struck right on top of Long Fei's head, and directly seeped into his body from the top of his head. Boom. Boom. His entire body frantically rolled. Phut. Long Fei spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. It was as if all the skin on his body had split apart, and the power in his body had turned his body transparent. Veins, veins. A light smash would cause it to crack. Ah! Long Fei roared out, again, boom. The third celestial tribulation descended. Boom. The fourth heavenly tribulation has descended. Boom. 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 One heavenly tribulation after another came crashing down on Long Fei's head, each time crushing him heavily, wanting to crush Long Fei to his knees. But Long Fei endured every single time. Every time he did, the wounds on his body would rupture. Boom. The 37th bolt. Rumble. It exploded on Long Fei's body. Crack. Ah! With a crisp sound, as though his bones had been fractured, Long Fei's pupils dilated and his entire body shuddered. He could not help but let out a painful scream. Just a moment ago, the blood-red dragon's scale cracked open. It was as if the scales had been pulled out and were dripping with blood. It was incomparably painful. Long Fei's entire body was covered in blood-colored scales. This was an extremely strong defense, but he couldn't take it anymore either. Rumble. The 38th heavenly tribulation descended. Catcher, catcher. KCHA. The number of blood-colored scales shattered and rose into the air. The pain was akin to using a pair of pincers to catch a scale and pull it out, as if he was trying to pull his nails out. Pain. An indescribable pain. He was in so much pain. It was too hard to bear. Moreover, ever since the first scale had cracked, the blood-colored dragon scales on Long Fei's body started to loosen up, as if they were falling and separating one after another. The leopard girl shouted from the side, "Stop. No. Stop, I'm begging you. God, please don't be so cruel. God, I beg of you." The leopard girl cried like she was in tears. The slovenly old man sat paralyzed on the ground, his eyes lifeless. Heaven calamity, how can it be like this? Too strong. There is no such heavenly tribulation recorded in the entire Kanglan continent. Why is that so? Rumble. 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 Each celestial tribulation was faster than the last. Long Fei stood there, the dragon scales on his body breaking bit by bit. His entire body was now covered in blood, and under the cover of blood, the curse marks on his body became even more sinister. Long Fei also looked abnormally eerie. His aura fluctuated from time to time. Long Fei looked like a dead man. He stood there motionlessly, allowing the heavenly tribulation to strike him. Dead. Everyone looked at him and asked, "Is he dead?" "He should be dead. I haven't moved for such a long time. He should be dead." Chapter 27:12 FUCK, Know Enough? Chapter 27:12 FUCK, Know Enough? Dozens of waves of heavenly tribulation struck down. Long Fei remained motionless. There was no reaction at all. Even the sound of pain could not be heard. He was like a dead man. In addition, his entire body was covered in blood, and every inch of his body was filled with wounds. Even his eyes were filled with blood, and it was impossible to discern his expression. Was it pain? Or die? Rumble. Yet another heavenly tribulation descended. Crack, crack. The last few dragon scales on Long Fei's body cracked. There was no cry of pain. Everything seemed to have gone numb. It's the 80th. It's already at the 80th God's suffering force. There's still one more. Is he dead? Not a single movement. What's going on? In the history of the Kanglan continent, there has never been such a heavenly tribulation in the Nine Sky Force. It is simply too cruel. Who can endure such a heavenly tribulation? Passing the tribulation? I'm afraid no one in the Kanglan continent would dare to go through the tribulation again. This is King courting death. The Kanglan city was silent. Everyone looked at the direction of the peak of the blue mist, towards the sky. The roiling clouds above the 9 heavens were still there. This meant that the calamity was not over yet. The last of the 9 sets was the most powerful, and possessed the power to exterminate all. It could be said. It was much stronger than the combined power of the 80 heavenly tribulations. If this one attack was used, then all of them would be annihilated. At the peak of the blue mist, the leopard girl looked at the crumbling Long Fei and said slightly, "No, let's go home. I'll take you home." As he spoke, he moved forward. However, the celestial tribulation had yet to come to an end, and the leopard girl was simply unable to approach it. As she drew near, she was sent flying by a surge of energy. Bang! The leopard girl's body flew away and landed heavily on the ground. The leopard girl acted as if it didn't hurt at all. She crawled back up and ran back up again, saying, "Let's go home, I'm not going to the universal realm, let's go home." Bam! Yet another knock flew. The leopard girl smashed into the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. However, she crawled back up and walked forward once more as she said, "Let's go home, we're going home." Bam! He was sent flying once again. The slovenly old man's gaze tightened. The celestial tribulation is still continuing. There's still one last thing. It is also the most powerful Tao. What should we do? Immortal Master Liu Yuan, tell me, what should we do now? He was completely panicked. He didn't know what to do in this situation. At this moment, Poochie. A mouthful of black blood flowed out from the corner of Long Fei's mouth. He raised his eyes with much difficulty, looked at the clouds that were rolling in the sky, and said softly, "Is this all you've got?" So weak. The voice was low. However, Long Fei's voice was like a thunderclap that exploded in everyone's minds. "He's still alive. He's still alive. Ha ha ha. He's still alive, he's too strong. My God, how is this possible? 80 gods suffering forces bombarding a heavily injured person. How freaking abnormal is this guy? Did you hear that? What was he saying just now? What are you saying to the heavenly tribulation? So weak. Ha ha ha. These words were too King cool and unbridled. They were simply looking down on the heavenly tribulation. Ha ha ha. I'm too excited. It feels so good. Even heavenly tribulation is being looked down upon. Ha ha ha. The baptism of heavenly tribulation creates a rule. Do you want to stop the martial artists from becoming stronger? It doesn't exist, ha ha ha. Too weak. The word weak and explosive had ignited the unwillingness in the hearts of all martial artists. That kind of heart that would never back down in a life or death situation. These few words were like a bucket of chicken blood being poured into his body. Rise. There's still the last one, we have to endure it. You have to hold on. F***ck his son of a B***tch's heavenly tribulation. You have to hold on. At this time, almost everyone wanted Long Fei to resist. Everyone looked at Long Fei with extreme excitement and nervousness. His heavily injured body activated the divine retribution. Instead of decreasing the power of the heavenly tribulation, it would be the 9 Sky Force. Its power was indescribably strong. Just like that, Long Fei endured. It was incomparably firm. Now, there was only one tribulation left. This was the most important one, and the most powerful one of the 9 sets. The combined power of the first 80 paths of divine retribution. Boom, boom, boom. The clouds above the 9 heavens began to swirl, and streams of power began to erupt from the 9 heavens. Slowly, they were released, and the entire Ash Wolf continent was shaken by this explosive sound. It was as though this power seemed to be able to destroy Kanglan continent. Countless people were swallowing their saliva, staring at the sky while clenching their fists tightly, as if they were undergoing a heavenly tribulation. The last one? The corner of Long Fei's eyes slightly narrowed. At this moment, no one knew how bad he was feeling. No one knew how weak he was right now. It was as if he could easily be insta-killed by a level 1 monster. It was painful, very painful. However, he had to endure it. He had to be strong. In the end, even if it costs his life, he has to endure it. Long Fei's heart sank, then stared at the leopard girl and said, I'm ready, I'll be able to send you to Universal Realm soon. Finished. Long Fei smiled faintly. The task was still not activated. The exclamation mark on the leopard girl's head was still there. Last hope. It should be gone. Long Fei did not regret it. The leopard girl cried and shook her head. She kept telling Long Fei to stop and kept saying that she wasn't going to the Universal Realm. However, the heavenly tribulation began. If one didn't die, then it wouldn't end midway. Rumble. 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 The power above the 9th heaven began to roar. The million-kilometer of sky above Kanglan continent seemed to be splitting apart. The entire world was shaking. He's here. He's here. The last god's suffering force is here. Long Fei's body sank heavily. Bring it on. It was also at this time. The slovenly old man suddenly sat down cross-legged. He closed his eyes slightly and said softly, I understand now. I know what to do. The idea moved. Buzz. In a split second, the clouds above his head also began to swirl. However, very subtle. It could be said that the clouds above Long Fei's head were nothing compared to his 9 Sky Force. He couldn't see it at all. Crack. A bolt of lightning streaked through the sky. Immediately after, a super god's suffering force flew over at a breakneck speed, not giving Long Fei any chance to react at all. Long Fei's body suddenly sank. His knees were about to drop to the ground. Moreover, in this instant, another god's suffering force came smashing down. Originally, Long Fei's body wouldn't be able to take it. The power of the final 999 heavenly tribulation was too strong, but he didn't even have the chance to endure it. The 82nd celestial tribulation struck out. They were trying to kill him. At this moment, beneath Long Fei's right arm, a strand of power flashed out from within the dragon-shaped mark. This power bellowed angrily, damn it, there's no end to it, is there? Thank you for your support. Chapter 27:13 Fulfillment. Chapter 27:13 Fulfillment. The 9 Sky Force's 81st heavenly tribulation had just descended, but it had yet to disappear when it struck out at the 82nd heavenly tribulation. What was this called? Was he King pushing them to death? Or was it targeting Long Fei? Long Fei himself only had half a life left, even the 81st God's suffering force could not withstand it, and now with the 82nd heavenly tribulation, he was completely not giving anyone a chance to live. Beneath the dragon-shaped mark, Yi Yorong had activated the power of black and white. His voice boomed in the sky. Damn it, it doesn't end, does it? Anger. It was filled with rage. At this moment, the world suddenly quieted down. The rolling 9-story heaven clouds also stopped spinning. The 82nd heavenly tribulation struck towards the top of Long Fei's head, but because of this voice, it suddenly changed its direction and cleaved into the clouds. How could heavenly tribulation be crooked? It was just like the system lock function. Once locked, no matter where you were, it would hit. But now, it had been hacked askew. The black and white then continued, "That's enough, don't be so shameless." Awesome. Very domineering. The 9-story heaven shrank back again, as if it was trembling in fear. Rumble. 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 The god's suffering force began to retreat quickly, as the clouds in the 9th layer also began to dissipate, as though they were being destroyed from all directions. The black and white aura also fiercely retracted and returned into Long Fei's body once more. Black blood dripped from the corner of Long Fei's mouth, but he was incomparably shocked in his heart. He could not imagine. The black and white power was actually powerful to such an extent that it could even suppress heavenly tribulation. How savage was this guy? Long Fei said solemnly, "Since you're so awesome, why didn't you come out earlier?" Black and white said faintly, "This is your path, not mine." Long Fei said, "You are my power, and my path is your path. If you had come out earlier, I wouldn't have suffered so much, and also..." Cough cough. He coughed continuously, and fresh blood spurted profusely from his mouth. Long Fei was almost unable to hold on. Monochrome was still as calm as ever. He said, "My path is over. Your path has just begun." Actually, black and white also understood that he had already intervened. The more he intervened now, the more difficult the road would be for Long Fei in the future. However, if he did not intervene just now, then Long Fei would already be dead. The 9 Skyforce was extremely strong. If it was another 111 gods suffering forces, Long Fei's flesh would have directly turned into mincemeat. It will be like him. Task failure. And then, there would be a new person to replace Long Fei. It was like shuffling cards again. Of course. It was also possible that he would never appear again, but what was the consequence? He did not know the black and white either. Long Fei asked, "Then what do we do now? You're so strong, can you save me now?" Black and white shook their heads. "No, I've already saved you once. We can't attack again. The more times I act, the more difficult the road ahead of you will be." It was just like how the difficulty of a game increased. The more people helped him, the more difficult the game would be. Long Fei said, "Then I'm still dead for sure." Black and white looked up at the sky. "No, you have successfully crossed the tribulation. As long as you are willing, you can step into a new plane of existence. Universal realm." The clouds of the 9th floor retreated. The gods' suffering force dissipated. A ray of light from the 9th heaven descended. This is the light of extradition. As long as Long Fei moved, he would be able to enter the universal realm right now, bringing along 10 billion experience. At that time, if you could level up just by crushing a mosquito, you would be able to fully recover. This was the only way for him to survive. Long Fei raised his eyes, seeing the light that was pouring down from the sky. He felt it and said, "Is this the aura of the universal realm? It's really different." It was like the spring breeze. Black and white said, "What are you waiting for? Why aren't you going up? You wouldn't really give this opportunity to a woman, would you? Kid. There are all kinds of women in universal realm. They are much more beautiful than her. Don't be stupid." At this moment, Monochrome was also getting nervous. He was unable to make a choice for Long Fei. Once Long Fei made the leopard girl use her flying into the virtual, then Long Fei would really die. By her side, the leopard girl also raised her head to look at the sky. Looking at the divine light pouring down from the sky, her heart slightly throbbed. In her heart, She longed for it. Because, as long as she entered the universal realm, she would be in the same world as her beloved person, and there would be a day when they meet again. It was just that. In the next second, the leopard girl looked away and saw the blooded Long Fei shaking her head, and said, "No, no, no, I can't go, I can't go." Long Fei chuckled, "I will definitely accomplish what I've promised you. Go. Go find him." He didn't know why. Giving up the chance to live. Stupid. However. But Long Fei felt that he was just too awesome. In the past, it had always been him wanting a woman. That woman would always like him, but now, he met a woman that he liked but did not like. A woman he was willing to give. The most important thing was his memory of the leopard girl's wild, cheerful nature, which he would never forget. The leopard girl shook her head and said, "You risked your life for this." "How can I?" Long Fei replied, "It's all right, as long as you're happy. Go." "If I don't go now, the extradition divine light will disappear." "I definitely won't go." Long Fei looked very determined. The universal realm doesn't want to go. After escaping from Zhenwu continent, the place he wanted to go the most was universal realm. How could he not want to go? Black and White also said heavily, "Are you crazy? You will die. We can't let her go." Long Fei said in his heart, "As you said just now, this is my path. Naturally, I will take my own path." Black and White said, "What the hell are you doing? You're going to die. What other path are you going to take? Look at how weak you are right now. All of the dragon scales on your body have been pulled out." Long Fei did not bother about her. With a smile still hanging on his face, he looked at the leopard girl and said, "Go, I'll be fine. If you don't go, then it'll really be a waste. Hurry up and go." The leopard girl slightly moved. Her eyes teared up as she kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." The person in her heart could not be replaced. She could no longer fall in love with anyone else. Even if someone was willing to risk their life for her, she couldn't. Because that man had already taken root in her heart for more than 100 years. Long Fei said, "You don't need to say this, hurry up and go." "Buzz." The leopard girl cried as she walked into the divine light. Rumble. The divine light enveloped the leopard girl's body. Chapter 27:14 Memory Awakening. Chapter 27:14 Memory Awakening. Buzz. With a hum, a divine light enveloped the leopard girl. At this moment, everyone was stunned. What does he want to do? Could it be? Is he undergoing his tribulation for this woman? It can't be. What's so good about such a crazy wild woman? The 9 Sky Force was almost exchanged for it with one's life, for someone else. This. Is there something wrong with this person's head? He's too handsome. How come I didn't meet such a good man? The fat woman, who weighed more than 150 kilograms, said with infatuation in her eyes. Handsome my ass. If he were to send that woman up there, he would have died. He's not handsome, he's sick. What do you know? This is what love is like. Although he is going to die, he is willing to use his own life to help others. This is fulfillment. This is true love. The people on the Kanglan continent looked at the summit of the blue mist, and all of them were very surprised. No one would be like Long Fei. He would gamble with his cultivation base for the rest of his life, gamble with his life, and bear the consequences. Passing the tribulation, flying into the virtual. Who would give away their entire life's cultivation in exchange for their own life? Not to mention a lover, even a husband and wife, even a father and son. No matter how close and intimate a relationship was, it wouldn't be like this. There had never been one in the history of Kanglan continent. No one would do that. 9 Sky Force, just a slight mistake and it would disappear into thin air. Once he succeeded, there will definitely be a major baptism, no matter if it's innate talent or physical body, they will all undergo a metamorphosis, on the premise that you want the flying into the virtual. Give it to someone else just like that. This was really stupid. The baptism of heavenly tribulation had yielded results that had been handed over to others. It is not permissible in principle. It was also because no one would give it up to others. Forget about the blue mist plane. Even if one looked at the millions of planes under the jurisdiction of the universal realm, no one would do such a thing. It was the same. Only then would it form a bug, and allow others to use flying into the virtual. The consequence of this was that those who transcended tribulation would definitely die. The black and white throats of those who shouted turned hoarse as they flew into a rage. Are you crazy? Do you really want her to replace you? You've got water in your brain. Do you know the consequences of that? Have you thought about it? You will die. You will be the same as me. No, you're not even comparable to the me from before. At least, I was once the pinnacle person in this world. What are you now? Failed as soon as I got here? It was as if he had gone mad. Long Fei did not understand what they were saying at all. He knew. He was dying. He knew. If he could help the leopard girl before he died, he would be very happy. No matter what the black and white said, it was fine as long as one did not have any shame. Was never afraid of death. Seeing that the leopard girl was completely enveloped by the divine light, Long Fei moved his idea, rise. Buzz. The divine light suddenly moved and began to contract. The leopard girl's body couldn't help but float up into the air, like a god. Black and white felt as if they were about to explode. They really wanted to jump out and give Long Fei a ruthless slap to the face, and wake him up. But he couldn't. When black and white heard Long Fei's order, their hearts sank. It's over, it's all over. You're finished. Sigh. We failed. Unexpectedly, after so many years, my punishment just ended and I failed again. This time, I'm afraid. The black and white were miserable beyond words. In the end, they could only bitterly smile. There were many things he could not tell Long Fei. There was no way to say it. He hadn't even entered the universal realm, and he had already failed in such a low plane. Too bad. Long Fei smiled as he watched the leopard girl slowly fly into the air. He never regretted what he wanted to do. Tears rolled down the leopard girl's face. She was struggling internally, but at the same time, she was also in extreme agony and hated herself a little. As she watched herself get further and further away from the ground, the remorse in her heart made her feel even worse. She didn't even know how to face it. Long Fei looked at the exclamation mark on the leopard girl's head and let out a long sigh. It still won't do. Ha ha. All right then. She is destined to be in a lot of trouble if she follows me. None of the people by my side will have a good ending. I am the Heaven Destroyer, Solitary Star, and I am fated not to have brothers, friends, or women. All right then. Long Fei looked at the leopard girl who was slowly leaving in the sky and said, You must live a good life, and take good care of yourself. The leopard girl cried as she shouted, I'm sorry. I have been waiting here for 100 years. I cannot wait for him. He has entered the universal realm. I must. I have what he wants on me. I'm sorry. Tears streamed down his face. Woo woo woo. Long Fei was a little curious, so he casually asked, What is his name? I really want to know what kind of person can make you wait 100 years. The leopard girl could not hear him clearly from too far away, so she asked, What did you say? Long Fei repeated, I want to know his name. I envy him for making you wait 100 years. At this moment, the eye of the void was right in front of the leopard girl. It would be able to enter very soon. The leopard girl paused for a moment, and then shouted loudly, His name is Long Fei. As soon as he finished, the divine light pulled the leopard girl into the air and she instantly disappeared. It was also at this time that the entire world returned to calm. But the leopard girl's last sentence was heard echoing in the air for a long time. His name is Long Fei. His name is Long Fei. His name is Long Fei. Streams of energy continuously spread out until it was like a sound wave that covered the entire Kanglan continent. His name is Long Fei. He is called Long Fei. Long Fei was stunned in place. His gaze was a little dazed, and he could not react in time. His name is Long Fei? Long Fei? He? Me? Long Fei's gaze suddenly tensed up. He raised his eyes, looked straight into the sky, and shouted fiercely, Leopard girl. At this moment, in Long Fei's mind, A strand of memory rose from the depths of his memory, and the memory exploded. In this instant, Long Fei's mind stirred, and he remembered everything that had happened in the hundreds of thousands of barren mountains, the demon territories. At this moment, the memories of the leopard girl were completely awakened in his mind. However, it was only limited to the leopard girl's memories. As for the other people's memories, they were all still in the seal. However, he knew who he was: Long Fei, the son of Long Zhanting, the grandson of Crazy Long. The first place he crossed over was not the Zhenwu continent, but the gods' martial continent. Just what is in my memory? Why? Damn it, God's tribe. Other than what happened in hundreds of thousands of barren mountains, Long Fei still had the memories of the leopard girl's choice to enter the reincarnation cycle and wait for Long Fei. 100 years. All of this was because of the gods' tribe. It was also at this time, when the black and white felt the hostility in Long Fei's heart, they sighed lightly and said, "Even if your memories are awakened, it's useless. You're going to die." Chapter 27:15 Universal Realm, I'm here. Chapter 27:15 Universal Realm, I'm here. The flying into the virtual was Long Fei's last hope. If they missed it, that would mean his time of death had come. The instant the leopard girl disappeared, Long Fei's body began to undergo an intense change. However, Long Fei acted as if he couldn't feel it at all. Memory. The leopard girl's memories made him feel incomparably shocked and pleasantly surprised. The person she is waiting for is me. She loves me. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed loudly. He did not regret anything from the beginning, but now that he knew about leopard girl's identity, he did not regret anything even more after he had awakened the leopard girl's memories. Hubby, you're so handsome. My husband is handsome. Hubby, can you marry me? Hubby, I want to leave my first wedding night. In his memory, many of the things that the leopard girl said lingered in her ears. That kind of stubbornness, that kind of coquettishness, that kind of wildness. Long Fei's heart was really warm. It was all worth it. Crack. The skin cracked. Hiss. Long Fei suddenly took in a breath of cool air. He couldn't help but shudder due to the intense pain. Black and White said coldly, "You're going to die. You're going to be branded as a failure." Not even halfway. Sigh. Long Fei smiled lightly, and said, "I do not regret it. To be able to see the woman I love before I die, my life was already worth it. I am just a little otaku on Earth. To be able to experience so many things, have so many brothers, and have such a beautiful woman like me, I will not have any regrets in my life." Long Fei opened his car very wide. He was afraid of death, but in the face of death, he had never been afraid of anything. As for the reason, his life on Earth, from when he was a child, in that alternate space, those superpower house, those alien technology, these could be dreams. But in the gods' martial continent, everything that had happened was real, and what had happened in the Zhenwu continent, so Long Fei's daily life was very fulfilling. These were not dreams. So be it. Even if he died, Long Fei would still smile, just that. He was still a little worried. What if she can't find me? Continue to wait. Long Fei looked to the sky and muttered, "I'm sorry." Long Fei did not accept his fate. However, right now, he had no other choice. Black and White sighed bitterly. Long Fei watched quietly, just like how the leopard girl used to look at the sky. Now, he was the same as the leopard girl. It's over. It's over. He's going to die. To help others, the one who died was himself, so that's why he's called stupid. Sigh. This is fate. Who knows, maybe when that woman entered the universal realm, she would never remember him again. So stupid, if I had his cultivation, if I succeeded in my tribulation, I would instantly use flying into the virtual. Look at him, he's about to die. Crack, crack. Long Fei's body continued to crack as a piece of flesh and blood burst out, floating straight out before turning into fine powder. It was as if a vampire in a movie had caught the sunlight. It burned. This process was incomparably painful. Long Fei laughed, looked at the sky and muttered, Heh, I'm going to die. Brothers, all of you must be all right. He closed his eyes. Long Fei pointed to the sky with one finger, and assumed a pose that he thought was very handsome, welcoming death. Time passed second by second. His health point slowly bottomed out. He knew he was going to die soon. But just when Long Fei thought he was going to die, just when black and white despaired, a ray of teleportation divine light scattered down, enveloping Long Fei within it. And at this moment, the pain on Long Fei's body stopped, and his health point also stopped. Heh! Long Fei looked up slightly and glanced to the side. The slovenly old man was covered in blood, his face was pale, and all the skin on his face was creased, as if he had suddenly aged several decades. He was incomparably old. Moreover, it looked weaker than Long Fei. He looked at Long Fei and said faintly, "Go." In that instant, he too had successfully transcended the tribulation. However, compared to Long Fei's 9 Sky Force, his level of heavenly tribulation was a little insignificant, so no one paid much attention to it. Long Fei's eyes tensed up. "I can't." The slovenly old man replied, "Go on, extradition is my mission, the mission that the immortal Master Liu Yuan gave me. If it wasn't for the presence of the immortal sovereign, I would have died long ago. I lived to extradite you. And with my inherent skill, my blood vein is just like an ant in the universal realm. Even if I were to fly up there, it would be useless. You're different. Your talent is the most amazing person I've ever met. But the heavenly tribulation that I have just transcended is the weakest amongst all of the heavenly tribulations, so I am unable to give you too much of a baptism. It will not be of much help to you." The slopper-looking old man said softly. The higher the level of heavenly tribulation, the stronger the baptism power received would be. In other words, the baptism of heavenly tribulation was a form of strengthening, changing your physique so that your physique would not lose out to the warriors of universal realm. The stronger the heavenly tribulation, the stronger the transformation of your body. Black and white immediately jumped up, just like grabbing onto a lifesaver in the middle of a vast ocean. They solemnly said, "Brat, don't hesitate. Hurry up and go in. What are you hesitating for? Hurry up." In the midst of the divine light, Long Fei couldn't reject it either. The slovenly old man moved his idea and instantly held Long Fei in the air. Long Fei's body became light, and immediately flew up. Dean succeeded in transcending tribulation. Why did the Dean become so foolish? It's that fellow. Principal, are you crazy? I'm your brother. Even if you want to give me back, give it to me. Dean, you old fool, let me soar. Let me, stop, let me soar. As if they had gone mad, the people from the Kanglan College all rushed towards the summit of the blue mist. Long Fei floated up, bowed to the slovenly old man, and said with a heavy voice, "Thank you." "Ha ha ha." The slovenly old man laughed loudly and said, "Kid, if it wasn't for you, even I wouldn't have been able to successfully transcend this tribulation. You're right. Life and death are less important. If you don't agree, then do it. Too much fear will cause you to fall into a quagmire. Go. Make a name for yourself in universal realm." He did not know Long Fei's identity. If Long Fei wanted to enter the universal realm, it would not be as simple as barging into a whole new world, but to immediately flip everything over. Monochrome was also excited. "Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Not dead, not dead. Unexpectedly, ha ha ha. Your luck is really quite good. However, your physical body and the God's tribe's curse mark on your body. I have to find a way to change it. The current universal realm is different from the previous universal realm. God's tribe is still too strong for you, but don't worry, when I gather all of your brothers, I will kill all of you." Long Fei looked at the sky, looked at the eye of void flying out, and clenched his fists tightly. "Universal realm, your father is here." You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.